NTA, you can't beat the rich.
I am attuned to the hardship that have come. I have a heart that feels and eyes that see. I wish to explain to you why we must endure this trying moment. Those who sought to perpetuate the fuel subsidy and broken foreign exchange policies are people who will build their family mansion in the middle of a swamp. I am different. I'm not a man to erect our national home on a foundation of mud. To endure, our home must be constructed on safe and pleasant ground.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk, app for iOS or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa.
In search of spiritual guidance for the nation, President Bola Tinubu prays for Nigeria at Lesser pilgrimage in Makkah, Saudi Arabia. Applauds for security agents, neutrality at weekends off-cycle elections in Imo, Bayelsa and Kogi states. Plus stories on religion and much more on Panorama this Monday, reaching you live from Abuja. I am Elizabeth Omori. We'll be right back. President Bola Tinubu has performed lesser pilgrimage in Makkah with prayers for a much greater and peaceful Nigeria. State House correspondent Musbah Danwahab reports that this was after the president's official engagements in Riyadh at the Saudi Africa Summit and the Saudi Nigeria Business Roundtable.
President Bola Tinubu, for the second time in less than a year, was back in the Kaaba, considered in Islam as the holiest site and house of God. His previous visit was weeks before his election, and yet again he was here after victories of election and the attendant litigations. For this moment, the toga of presidency was aside as the Nigerian #1 joined other Muslims here as ordinary as possible before God. President Tinubu and his team of governors, ministers and other rays performed the 7th Circuit circumambulation of the Holy Kaaba, ending with a two-standing prayer. In the other part of the rite, the Nigerian leader also performed the ritual of walk between the two hills of Safa and Marwa, symbolic of life struggle. This culminated in a special prayer. Pilgrimage is a religious obligation craved by Muslims, but this one is from a grateful heart.
I am grateful to God for his guidance, his blessings, and his answers to my prayers and the country's prayers. For good of all, we have to give thanks to him at every opportunity that we may have.
But beyond personal gratitude for the president and his team, there is certainly no better opportunities to pray God for a much greater Nigeria in peace, stability, and prosperity.
Your Excellency, what prayer did you say for Nigeria?
For the country, may our prosperity grow and our humanity be kind to each and every one of us. The prospect of the country is yet to blossom to the level that we require. It needs hard work and consistent prayer. And we are giving it to our mind and our spirit in every way possible. Our strength is our diversity, and we'll continue to build on that for the prospect and sake of the country.
This first speaks volumes about the kind of president we have. Somebody who is deeply faithful in God, who is deeply thankful about what God has done to his life and what has God done to our country.
Before you can achieve anything in life, you have to commit it into the hands of God. And whatever you commit to his hands, you know it is safe and sure. So praying for Nigeria at this particular point in time is very important. It's inevitable.
With rapt attention, his statemently prayers, his usual leadership prayers for Nigeria across the board, being very conscious of our diversity, which he hopes to be the source of our strength, and of course the vision for Nigeria in terms of trying to unlock the potentials of the country across the board, devoid of any sentiments or rancor or division. And I have prayed for Nigeria and for him as a leader, because once you pray for a leader, you are praying for the people.
This rite rounded off the president's bilateral and investment drive to Saudi Arabia with hopes of a greater deal for Nigeria in trade relations. From Mecca, Musbal Wahab, NTA News.
Away from the pilgrimage, in the Kogi State off-cycle governorship election, Professor Johnson Ozemenam Orama, the INEC returning officer, has declared Usman Ahmed Ododo of the All Progressives Congress as winner. He secured a total of 446,237 votes, defeating his closest rival, Yakubu Murtala Ajaka of the SDP, who garnered 259,052 votes. Correspondent Solomon Ayeden reports that the electoral process has been acknowledged, peaceful and credible.
Returning officer for the Kogi State off-cycle governorship election, Professor Johnson Ozemenam, who also serves as the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, declared Usman Ahmed Ododo of the APC as the winner of the governorship election. This declaration followed the signing and collection of results by various party agents present.
Ahmed Usman Ododo of APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner
and is returned elected.
At the government house in Lokoja, joy filled the air as critical stakeholders in the Kogi state government and party loyalists gathered to celebrate with Governor Yahaya Bello. The display of victory unfolded when Governor Yahaya Bello and the governor-elect expressed satisfaction with the election's outcome. Governor Bello congratulated the people of the state for supporting the APC and speaking with one voice by voting for Usman Ahmed Ododo. He commended INEC and the security agencies for ensuring a peaceful and credible election in Kogi, emphasizing that this process signifies peace, unity, and further development for the state.
I didn't disappoint you, and I am confident that the governor-elect and the deputy governor-elect will not disappoint you.
APC governor-elect Usman Ahmed Ododo characterized his success at the polls as a victory for the completion of Ajaokuta Steel and the overall development of the state.
Election has come and gone. I pledge to serve and to lead with accountability, transparency, and inclusivity.
People of the state, the peaceful nature of the exercise will not be taken for granted. Governor-elect Usman Ahmed Ododo is set to be sworn in on January 27, 2024. In Lokoja, Solomon Ayedehi, NTA News.
Still on the off-cycle elections, the Police Service Commission staff monitors deployed to Kogi, Imo and Bayelsa states say the policemen on duty were courageous and fairly contained intermittent cases of attempts to hijack elections. Our statement by the Commission notes that police officers and several polling units visited were said to be approachable and professional. Although there were incidents of attacks on voting units, some arrests were recorded in many places, especially in Kogi State. The police were said to have also contained pockets of attacks in Brass and some other locations in the riverine areas of Bayelsa State. There were, however, reports of vote buying in the three states, but without the connivance of police officers on election duties. Meanwhile, Chairman of the Commission, Dr. Solomon Arase, who monitored the exercise in Kogi, commended the three Deputy Inspectors General of Police who supervised police operations in the three states for their quick responses to the Commission's intermittent requests for police intervention in troubled areas. Dr. Arase calls on the force to remain on guard and prepared to forestall any breakdown of law and order after the announcement of the election results, and directs that in the few places where there were pockets of police misconduct, the police management should quickly investigate and forward its recommendations to the Commission for immediate disciplinary action. And following the announcement of governorship election results by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in Imo and Kogi states, Bayelsa State is also getting set for collation of the governorship election held on Saturday in that state to continue. We now join our correspondent Kingsley Majiri, who is at the Governorship Collation Center in Yenegua. Kingsley, thanks for joining us on Panorama.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome to Yenegua, the Bayelsa State capital. We are at the INEC head office for the conclusion of the collation of the governorship election that held on the 11th of November 2023. Already you are aware that 6 of those local government area results have been announced: Obuja, Nembe, Yenegua, Kolokubo Upokuma local government area, Sabama and Ekremo, where the observers and the media, they are all seated here waiting for the remaining 2 local government areas, Southern Ijaw and Brass local government area, to bring to an end the cycle of this election that held in Bayelsa State. Of course, everyone is excited, waiting to see to the end of the process that will mark the beginning of another chapter for the next 4 years in Bayelsa State. And of course, we have a number of the observers who are here to watch the processes. With me here in the INEC Coalition Center is one of the local observers who would like to get his perspective on how far what his thoughts are with respect to this election that held in Bayelsa State and the processes that will culminate to the final announcement of the result. Here with me is Mr. Azubike Romanus. Mr. Azubike Romanus, could you just tell us what are your perspectives? How do you appraise the processes so far?
First, my name is Romanus Azubike, the Executive Director of Center for Strategy, Ethics and Value. So far so good. The election started in a good note and it's very peaceful. And INEC have done wonderfully in terms of logistics because in most of the polling units, the distribution have been commenced very early.
Now, emphasis now is on the coalition process. Well, your perspective on the coalition that is going on so far.
The coalition, we commend INEC in their coalition. They have been very transparent, especially when announced the result in each local government. They will ask the party agents their own if there's any challenge about it. And many of them have raised an issue and they have recorded it. Because INEC have one to review the result of whatever happened in the coalition today.
All right, besides what is happening at the coalition center here, what's your view about the thought of Bayelsans so far?
The Bayelsans are happy the way the election ended peacefully. Right. They commented.
Okay. You've heard the perspective of Mr. Romanus Azubike, who is one of the local observers monitoring this election here in Bayelsa State, Yenegua, the state capital. We'll keep updating you when the resumption of this process commences at this state INEC head office. Is back to you in the studios for the continuation of Panorama. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Kingsley, and we hope to get more updates from you subsequently. You're still watching Panorama on NTA. Let's take a breather now. More reports to come. To stay.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Thanks for staying with us. President, Nigerian Association of Women Journalists, Ladibala, has flagged off a campaign seeking re-election to consolidate on lofty achievements recorded in the last 3 years of her tenure. Charles Alpha reports that top on her 4-point agenda, if re-elected for another 3 years, is the building of NAWOJ National Secretariat and capacity building initiatives for members.
It is another election year for the Nigerian Association of Women Journalists, and 25th of this month could prove decisive for their overall ambition for a well-established structure and key decision process in governance. That is why members from various states converged on Abuja to flag off campaign and rally support for the incumbent president of the association, Ladibala, who they believe is endowed with a vision and determination to take NAWOJ to the next great heights after so many groundbreaking achievements during her first 3 years.
All our towns should vote for Ladibala. 3+3, no shaking.
Each time she stands to talk, I'm so proud. That is the person to watch. That is the person to campaign for.
Remember when you came for campaign, I told you here in this very hall, I said if you don't do well, don't expect to see us rally around you again. But you did well. We have 2 contestants, and our slogan, FCT is hosting to win.
For the president, Ladibala, the priorities will be to build the Nawaj Secretariat, capacity of members on digital storytelling, leverage international partnership around issues on gender and women participation in governance.
The paying of rent in Abuja is not easy, so we are going to hurriedly see that in the next 12 months that we have a secretariat on ground. This is one, a big project. Nawaj is planning to apply for a license, a community radio license, so that we have our own radio station where we tell the Nigerian woman's story.
The women here have decided giving Ladibala another 3 years won't be a bad idea, and as such have asked members to speak with one voice, barring all differences, and come together. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
In other news, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has ordered investigation to unravel the circumstances surrounding the attack on the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Joseph Ajero, in Imo State. The first public relations officer made this known to newsmen in Owerri, Imo State.
The investigation into the alleged assault on the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Joe Ajero, according to the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Adiolu Ewekotun, is aimed at ascertaining the true fact surrounding the incident with a view to addressing any ambiguity that may exist. Hence, he has directed the DIG in charge of Force Criminal Investigation Department to take over the investigation.
The investigation has commenced, and the Nigerian Police Force guarantees that it will be followed to a conclusive end, and appropriate actions will be taken based on the findings of the investigation.
The IGP enjoined the organized labor and the public to be calm, assuring that justice will be served at the end of the day.
The Nigerian Police Force understands the importance of transparency and accountability in maintaining public trust. The IGP therefore assures the public, most especially the leadership of the organized labor, that a thorough and unbiased inquiry will be conducted to provide clarifications while urging organized labor and the public to remain calm, as he has personally intervened to address the issues surrounding this incident.
It will be recalled that Comrade Ajero was attacked in Imo State when he came for a peaceful protest to press on the state government to pay arrears of salaries of workers and pensioners in the state. In Owerri, Lorita Rinzi-Gwim, NTA News.
Strengthening the value of the naira is the responsibility of all Nigerians, hence the need to support the Central Bank of Nigeria in stabilizing the Nigerian currency for economic gains. Musa Abubakar reports that this dominated discussions at the lecture and book presentation titled Cowries to Cashless in Abuja.
Like this song by DeMarco, money needs no introduction because it makes the world go round. Cowries like these on this Jarawa cultural troupe were used in the past as commodity money. From trade by barter to commodity money evolving to cash and now cashless, financial transaction continues to make sense through transformation. This evolution is captured in this book titled Cowries to Cashless: History, Trends, Reforms, Issues and Icons.
Looking here at the future of money, and we know that the future of money is digital.
Tokpe Fashwa, who represented the Vice President Kashim Shettima, and other speakers acknowledged the importance of the Naira as a medium of exchange, as well as its transformational journey to cashless status.
Who can engage the world and cause great tectonic shifts in the understanding, usage, and deployment and mastery of the technologies that drive money.
Well, we are in a society. Well, now we are moving to artificial intelligence, robotics, which are all part of the ingredients for the so-called cashless society.
Our aspiration is to push the boundaries to over 95%, and we are well on course.
The conversation continues on the need for Nigerians to appreciate their national currency and support the CBN to stabilize the monetary environment. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Next is Sports Update with Badi Adeleye.
Nigeria's Falconets played 1-1 away to Tanzania in the first leg of their third-round fixture of the 2024 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup qualifiers on Sunday. Chioma Olise opened the scoring for the Falconets in the 60th minute of the game, but the host equalized in the 71st minute through Asna Thubamba to set up a mouth-watering second leg in Abuja next Sunday. Back home, Remo Stars boosted their Nigeria Premier Football League title hopes as they hammered Gombe United 4-0 in a match day 8 encounter played Sunday in Ikene.
To Sikiru on the edge of the 18-yard box. Can he get the finish? Yes, he does.
Plateau United were also big winners as they recorded a 3-1 home win over Abia Warriors. In Kano, Adam Musa's second-half strike was all Kano pillars needed to see off Enyimba.
It's a goal!
Spoils were shared in the highly contested game between Sunshine Stars and Rangers International in Akure, with the visitors scoring in injury time to secure a 2-2 draw. In other results, Lobby Stars maintained their lead atop the standings with a 1-0 victory over Sporting Lagos. Katsina United beat Rivers United 1-0, while Bendel Insurance and Niger Tornadoes played goalless. Meanwhile, Nasarawa United have set their sights on an immediate return to the Nigeria Premier Football League after they began their campaign in the Nigeria National League with a 1-0 victory over Zamfara United on Saturday. Aminu Abubakar's 9th-minute goal sealed the 3 points for the Solid Miners in front of their fans.
We are happy that Nasarawa State is now hosting the first game, for the NNL, and it means a lot to us.
I told them if there's going to be half goal, I need it. And I got the 3 points.
In the English Premier League, 8 goals were scored as Chelsea and Manchester City played 4 at Stamford Bridge. Mohamed Salah got a brace as Liverpool beat Brentford 3-0, while Nigeria's Tawa Wuni's goal could not prevent Nottingham Forest from losing 3-2 to West Ham United. And finally, home favourite Yannick Sinner beat Stefano Tsitsipas in straight sets on the first day of the season-ending ATP Finals in Turin, Italy. Sinner put in a dominant performance to win 6-4, 6-4. With Sports Update, Badi Adeleye, NTA News.
In Sports Update and Panorama this afternoon, thank you so much for your time. And it's time to join our off-cycle election studio where Ruth Aguele is standing by. Ruth, over to you.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth, and welcome to this special program where we get to bring you updates on the off-cycle general elections for Imo, Kogi and Bayelsa State. Of course, we have winners for Imo and Kogi states. Hope Uzodinma, sitting governor, has been re-elected for Imo State, and of course, Usman Ahmed Ododo has been, elected for Kogi State under the All Progressives Congress. We're waiting when the Yenagoa State Collation Center will open. 2 local governments left before we get the final results to know who will emerge for Bayelsa State. I'm talking about Southern Ijaw and Brass local government areas. Welcome once again, Ruth Aguele. Of course, we'll bring you everything as they play out. Stay tuned. All right, thanks for staying tuned. It's still the 2023 off-cycle election update we're bringing to you live on the network service of the NTA. And earlier I gave you just tidbits of what's been happening. Yes, we're still awaiting Yenagoa State Collation Center to open. 2 local government areas left to go. We have a guest, rather guests in the studio. Let's welcome one of our regular. You're becoming a stakeholder, Mr. Nick Dazang in NTA, former Director of Voter Education and Publicity, INEC. Always a pleasure to have you join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And we have joining us also is Mr. Mukhtar Modibo. He's head of data collection, Uzabe Election Observation Mission. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we're made to understand that you were at Ajakuta during the elections at Kogi, and you visited other places. So you're going to share all of that experience. Let me just start off with you. Based on what you collated, since you're a data officer, what were your findings?
So to start it all, I think we have to, start with commending INEC with the kind of deployment in this off-cycle election. I mean, I will hope and wish that this is how elections will continue to go, in the sense that with the kind of positive events that we've recorded. In as much as I understand that this is off-cycle election, so the whole idea is to have maybe it's just 2 or 3 states that is participating this time around, so there is enough manpower to deploy with the kind of deployment we've had. And I think one of the first things we could do to address this kind of issue is we are under police in this country, and we don't have that much security that we require. So for us to be able to achieve this kind of things, we must have that point of having adequate police officers that will mount security for election. If you look at what happened, we were meant to understand on Thursday that there are almost 40,000 police that were deployed to Kogi State alone, and there were 9 resident commissioners that were deployed, with the one in Kogi making it 10, and those 9 are just acting as supervisors to the particular places. But over time, we always sit down and talk about another thing that is very big in our election, that's voter apathy. So I will say there were a lot of things like that were recorded, but maybe it's high time for us to clean up our data, right? Clean up the data that INEC have to ascertain the level of how many people. Maybe it's inevitable. A lot of people might have died. A lot of people might have moved. A lot of people might have done a lot of things. So if we clean up our data, we'll be able to ascertain whether or not we're still recording that point of voter apathy or what have you. But in general, we've recorded a lot of positive cases of, I know, on Friday in the night, we moved around RAC to look at observe what are the processes, and then we've received a lot of reports that as of 9 o'clock within Lokoja Metropolitan and that of Adavi and Okehi local government in Kogi, and some part of the local governments that in Bayelsa and Imo, deployment has already taken place. As of 7 in the morning on Saturday, I know of a particular polling unit. As of 7:25. They were already there doing some, the INEC officials are already there conducting some sort of sensitization and what have you. But in as much as that, we've recorded some level of pocket of violence. You have to call them pockets. Pocket of violence, pocket of malpractice, pocket of things that we ought to have not recorded in 21st century with the things that it's happening. Some people lost their life because they went to tamper with the ballot papers and what have you. Maybe want to question whether or not what the Chief of Defense Staff said will happen or it will not happen, and definitely it happens. It's a thing that we're not proud of to see happening, because it's young people. And we've seen where we've got a report where some officers were arrested with some shady deals. I have witnessed where an EFCC officials in Okehi local government arrested a woman with large chunk amount of money, involving herself in vote buying and, issues of vote selling and what have you. So there are level of pocket of incidents that were recorded that ought to have not been recorded. But I would say, first comment the security for this kind of deployment, because I have moved around 7 local government from Kotonkarfe to Lokoja to Adavi to Okene to Okehi, Ajakuta, and Yeah, I've moved around there. You know, when you look at the level of checkpoints that you see and then the level of professionality in the checkpoint, it will tell you that, oh, okay, we're heading somewhere. Because I can tell you, you know, the military officers that stop, all they ask is, where is your tag? They scan your tag, they see your name, and they even tell you their name at some point. You know, I've made a lot of military friends, you know, a lot of police friends. But, you know, like I said, there were those pockets of that, but let's commend them for this. Yeah. And let's see, I don't speak for INEC to some extent, but I think INEC is one commission that has sort of grew, have sort of made some progress within years. You know, you could see the progress as this happened. And if you look at when we reported and other observers reported the issue of the written results that were seen in Ogori-Mogongo, a local government in the part of Kogi Central. You know, INEC have done something with a sweet point to say, oh, okay, you know what? We've received this and we're escalating it, we're investigating, and all of a sudden they now suspended that process there, of which that's the process that will continue. So I think we have to commend them for that.
Of course, Mr. Modibo, and in line with what you have just said about the security, even the Police Service Commission, you know, has come out to commend
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Nigeria is a country of young entrepreneurs and great talent with the potential of making global impact. From the north to the south, there are high-skilled talents who have created businesses that are making waves globally.
Electric vehicles are not just the future, they are the now, and they are the now for Nigeria too.
Jelani Aliu, presently driving the innovation of the electric car.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the U-Report link. And be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk, app for iOS or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
The population of Abuja is so much that I believe that in the next 20 years, there will be population explosion.
Naturally, herders are not bad people, but it's because of this climate change that is making them to look as if they are bad. So when they are looking for daily bread for their cows, they have to find something for them to eat.
Global warming is a global warning that it is a time for climate action for everybody. Nigeria should be in the forefront.
Where there is willful breach, there should be a commensurate sanction.
Let's get our mindsets right. Once your mindset is right, you will know what's important and what's not important.
Local government. So the EO, you introduce yourself, after which you hand over the mic to the local government coalition officer to introduce herself, and then it will be followed by the presentation of the results. Thank you very much.
Please, members of the press, we would like to appeal to you. We will not want any distractions like we experienced yesterday. So let's all be quiet so that everyone can be attentive and get full details of what is happening here today. Thank you.
Let me stand on the already existing protocols. My Idiomo David, the electoral officer for Brass local government area, who has conducted a very conclusive election in the local government area.
What we need is just your name and it ends there, please.
Thank you.
My name is Professor Rebecca Api, Federal University of Lafia, Nasarawa State. I'm the coalition officer for Brass local government of the governorship election that was held on the 11th of November 2023.
Please, talk to the mic so that they can hear you. And please, you don't need to repeat. They've heard your name. It's for you to commence the presentation of the results, please. Thank you. Thank you.
I hereby present the result for brass local.
Talk to the mic, please. Push it closer to your mouth. Sorry.
I hereby present the result for brass local area. Total number of registered voters 94040. 94040. Number of accredited voters 32064. Vote received by each of the political parties stands like this. Party A 001. No. Party AA.
Please be consistent. Just be consistent and repeat twice. All right?
Party A score 1. Party AA 0. Party ADC 14. ADC 14. ADP 24. ADP 24. APC 18431. APC 18431. ABGA 4. APM 3. APP 0. APP 0. BP 2. BP 2. LP 83. LP 8. NNPP 1. NNPP 1. NRM 31. NNPP 1. NRM 31. PDP 12602. PDP 12602. PRP 5. PRP 5. SDP 8. SDP 8. ZLP 2. ZLP 2. Total
please wait, Secretariat. You don't just interrupt like that, please. I've insisted that let's be organized. You don't interrupt the presenter that way. What is the problem? Madam, what is the party, please, specifically? AA, party AA. I think it's 0.
It's 0.
Did you get the number of accredited voters? What about the registered voters?
Total valid 31211. 31211. Rejected votes 403. 403. Total vote cast 31614. Total vote cast 31614.
Thank you. The LGA Coalition Officer, Prof, thank you. Was there any polling unit that elections were not organized or were not held, or the results were cancelled, and the possible reasons for the cancellation of the results?
Yes, Prof. There were some cases like that because of our voting.
Okay.
We have documented everything. Yeah.
So no results for those polling units is 0. Thank you. All right. Party agents, please. Party agents, please. Party agents. Yeah. The first man here.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Joel Tobonimi, the state agent for New Nigerian People's Party, NNPP. We have noticed a trend. From our party, we have noticed a trend, even started from yesterday, and we are seeing it continuing this morning or this afternoon. Is it that votes is that we have very large following in Nimbe and other places, but when we notice that sometimes it's like benevolence award 1, 4, 6. I'm saying that in Nimbe, from the reports from our agents, we scored more than what is allocated to us. Sorry, brass. What is allocated to us does not reflect what happened at the units. I want to put it on record that we are not okay with this award, the simile award.
Thank you.
We are not to be awarded. We got votes.
Thank you. The party agent, but please a quick one. The commission don't award votes. Is what the party earned or got from the electorate, please. I think we should correct that impression. And then again, like I said yesterday, please, ladies and gentlemen, we are all responsible men and women in this hall. And as a party agent, you know your responsibility. If really you have done your campaign very well, knowing the fact that you have followership in that particular local government, I think it is just natural that if the campaign was properly done, you would have earned a lot of votes from your electorate. Please, it is not for, no problem, but I know that what she is presenting here was duly signed by your agents. Thank you. The next person, please. My name is Right Honorable Talford Ongolo, our state returning officer, sir. We have a novel problem here. Now, under the Electoral Act and even the regulations guiding the conduct of this election, various levels of collation have been established. And immediately preceding this collation point should have been a local government collation exercise center. But in this particular case, there was no collation at the local government level. Yes, because of the crisis, the violence that characterized some areas in Brass, admitted, and in fact, reasonably, INEC directed that, because we all know that somebody even died who were brutalized, and a lot of things went wrong there. So INEC directed that they should bring the collation to this in good faith, which was acceptable to everybody. Now, as at last night, we have been expecting our respectable collation officer. I was also personally involved, waiting for her, until the local government collation agent left here 10 p.m. and in fact even helped to convey some stranded people to their hotel. So this morning, I called him because I was here 6:30 a.m. And I called him, I said, go back and check because it will commence this morning. Only to be told that collation had been done. If it was done 12 midnight, 1 o'clock, later tell us. Because we are not based, because this is a matter, we have to do things right. So only to be told here that collation had been done and that I'm not attacking the merits yet, but because in this particular case, I have with me, and she knows, she had even acknowledged it, there was a petition forwarded to her in her system saying that there were hijacking of votes in some wards. This is it. So in a case like this, it would have been, common sense dictates that she ought to have ensured that at least message was sent to the agents and others to be present at the collation points. So that is the case, and I urge this House very seriously, with all the emphasis at my command, with due respect, sir, that this issue be resolved. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Again, I want to say, please, you can have your seat. I want to say that we appreciate all the party agents for raising issues about the results that are so far being presented to at the collation center here. But the point is this, please. I think we should be very fair to the INEC itself. Elections, once organized, you have all the available information. And, you know, I want to say this thing with all emphasis, please, that a loyal party agent should be absolutely loyal and to be responsible enough to follow these results as the movement dictates, so that your party agent should be able to tell you, this is where we are, this is where the result is, and I have a certified copy. But I think we should look at it from that angle. Where and how, I like the way, and I want to sincerely appreciate the fact that you have already pointed out to the fact that there were security challenges. And you have also pointed out, in fact, it's the first time I'm even hearing that a life was lost. That calls for, the electoral officers to be very, very careful. So long as the results and everything, and then your agents are there, I think nothing happens to the results. Thank you, please. Thank you. No, sir, she's not under a cross-examination, please. 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 It appears on the face of it that there are grave allegations that while with full knowledge that we had issues, that we were not opportune to be, and that we were here up to 10 p.m. So if she came thereafter, 1 o'clock, 2 a.m., and did the collation, we are saying that let the house be aware that this we were not.
I think what is important is the result. Unless if you are contesting that this is not the result that your party agents gave you, I think that should be the merit of the case. But in this case, you have not been able to convince us, or you have not even raised an issue that has to do with the result. But when the results were collated, and that is your argument, I'm simply saying that your party agents have given you the results, certified results, and they were duly signed by this agent. It therefore simply means that the result, how they were collated, knowing fully well that there was a breach of security, which you have confirmed. All right? It therefore means that we also have responsibility here, the INEC, to protect this stuff. I hope you understand, sir.
Please,
Thank you.
I want to be wait now, hold on. I want to be understood clearly. What I'm saying is that results were hijacked from certain walls, and that a petition had been written to.
No problem. We have the
so
official.
It was at that collation center that the issues were supposed to have been resolved before coming to present the collated.
But have you been able to put it to your agent why he signed that result and collected it?
No,
because these are valid.
No, nobody signed any result. We have not even seen it. No collation. Yes.
I'm surprised. But what is the result that is there?
Let us speak. Please let us speak.
The result that is with you, is it signed by party agent in particular? No. Please, we can do. Please, I am coming. I will get to you. We will get to you, please. My brother, we will just hold on. No.
And he has made grave allegations. And you should allow me to speak, please.
I'm not going to stop you from talking. Just hold on now. Get the mic. Collation officer, give. Yes, please. Okay.
Now, first, to make the clarification, my name is Dr. Dennis Otiotu. I'm the agent of APC. Now, one, there was no security breach in the election. There was no security report anywhere. But INEC, the person best known to the REC, wrote a letter to the commander of NNS Soro that materials for brass, Nembe, and Southern Ejo should be collected in Yinagwa. While materials, these are APC strongholds, while materials for Sabama, Ekaramo, Ogbea should be collected, and Koga should be collected in their various local government areas. These are PDP strongholds. Now, during the election, there was no report. The Commissioner of Police is here, DSS is here, other security agencies are here. There was no report of any security breach in Brass. What happened was that at this collation, local government collation, when the instruction came that they should move the materials to Yunakwa, the people resisted. They said, no, you can't move collation. That they want to rig the election, so they should collect at Brass. That was where the problem started. The Commissioner of Police can attest to it. So when my learned friend here says there was security breach, that was why the collation was moved from Brass to Yunagwa, that is not correct. The Commissioner of Police, the Director of the State Director of DSS, and other security agencies can attest. Now, secondly, it is the rule, even in the INEC guidelines, it is not compulsory for all party agents to sign. For instance, I was held up by security agencies that they refused me to enter that place. I was struggling, but the collation continued. If I was not here, that will not invalidate the process. It is not compulsory that all party agents must sign the results. It is only party agents who are present and who are willing that are ought to sign. Not people. She cannot force anybody to sign results. Secondly, we are all aware, he himself is aware, that it was late before the issue of moving the thing to this place was resolved. And they moved. The EO and the moved to this place. We are aware that in his own local government up to now, they have not concluded. We are aware that as they come, they collate. And so, like you said, his party agent ought to be diligent and ought to be here in this place to wait for them to come. For him to say that they went to sleep, that is the remission of duty. And so you cannot now shift that blame to her or to INEC. Secondly, somebody raised an issue at NRM. I looked at the result. In Sagoma, they scored 0-1. He did not complain. In Kolga, they scored 0-2. He did not complain. In Karama, they scored 0-2. He did not complain. In Sagoma, those are areas where PDP was winning. They were giving the 1-2. He did not complain. Now in Brass, that is when he is complaining. It's unfortunate.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Please.
So I've not finished, sir. I've not finished. Lastly, I've not finished. We too, we made a formal complaint that in Ward 7, Ward 9, and Ward 10 precisely, that they bypassed beavers. In Ward 9 and Ward 10, Sangana, they bypassed the beavers and wrote results. We made that complaint, but they said we should write. And we are waiting.
Thank you, party agent. Once you've made a formal complaint, it will be attended to. And that's why we said...
That was what I was saying, but now, we made the complaint, they said it will be attended to. When PDP makes complaint, you want to address it here.
No.
That was my rouse.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Any other comment? I think we can make progress. Please. The man behind, please. Oh, the lady. Please make your comments, please. Thank you.
My name is Honorable P. Sorama, State Collection Agent, APM, Allied People's Movement. Madam, I expected you to mention those words and the polling unit where you have overvoting.
We have not reached that level,
okay.
No, madam.
And I have a question to ask. In front of INEC, you have opportunity to accredit voters. No voter can vote without being accredited. And you are coming back to tell us that there is overvoting. How did the voter manipulated himself to vote overvoting? That's the question. I need to answer us. Thank you.
Next, please. Thank you. Next.
My name is Allen Amadeng, the agent of Social Democratic Party, SDP. In Brass local government area, I have my results here that was presented to me by my agent. Is also outside here. The election, there was no violence. I did not hear of any violence or any hijacking of ballot paper or anything in Brass local government area. The only complaint that I got from my agent was that in Sangana, in Ward 9 and Ward 10, they did not conduct election there because beavers was bypassed. Ward 9 and Ward 10. But the rest place, the election went free and fair, and this is the result signed by all our agents, all our polling unit agents, including the ward agents. They are all here to testify that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next, please.
Yes, my name is Chief William Parker, National Rescue Movement, NRM. Like my colleague just said, you see, it's so unfortunate that we're taking a system that is continuing, and we want to see how we can resolve certain things and credibility or credit be given to INEC. The APC agent have said something, and it was so surprising that immediately the PDP agent finished saying something, microphone was given to the lady to begin to go and look at agent that signed, which has never been done since we started this coalition. It has never been done, because if that is done, some of us have a lot to say. In as much as it is, please, it will pay us a good, because INEC has always keep telling us state your grievances, we'll look at it. Our grievances have been stated, but at the end of the day, it will end us go to court, go to tribunal for litigation and all that. We have our candidates, we have our agents who have been giving us feedbacks from there in the field. We know what happened. It's like my brother said, Ward 8 and Ward 9, those are places we know that, 9 and 10, those are places we know that it was not done. We heard it. We came back here. My agent called me from there and said, sir, nothing is happening here. I said, please, if possible, take a photo shot and send it to us. And we still have those photo shots, which we are going to present.
Thank you.
And then, again, the system, sir, please, this is a business of the party and INEC. Voting has time bound, but this matter has no time bound. If we want to express ourselves, allow us to express ourselves, because even as we are standing here, we are national TV, and our candidate are seeing us. They are seeing us, they know what is happening. News are there, informations are kept. So please allow us to express ourselves, whatever it takes us. We've been here yesterday, we went to 10 o'clock before it, now it's 12. We can take our time, because it's important to us. There are several places my candidate won, and what we are seeing is not what is ready here. It was like a draft game allotting numbers to those who they can. We saw it is clear. And we have lots of such complaints. So please do us this favor, so that at the end, INEC can take the credibility. Let whoever want to express his grievances express. We've also said it. If these roads are contestable, we will contest it, because we know that there are informations we have heard. We have results here signed. The ones that are not signed, we have accepted it. At the end, we will come out and say, so please, let us proceed, and then let us get this result done. Because I think that we need to say, we will say it. Thank you.
Mr. Victor, my friend of yesterday, you can speak, please.
Okay. My name is Victor Rene Prefisi. I am the agent of Accord. The truth is very simple. If you are winning, INEC is good. They will keep on praising INEC, supporting INEC, that INEC have done so well. The election was free and fair and credible. Kudos to INEC. If they are losing, INEC have been the worst enemy, the worst people they have ever seen in life. I want to sincerely believe that those of you seated at the high table are well-respected citizens of this country. Especially, madam, you are a lawyer and well-respected. Rec, you are also a lawyer, well-respected. CB, you also a very intelligent person, well-respected, and also others. Now, the point is this. By any time we are making reference, I've said this even yesterday, we are on national TV, and whatever thing we say here, the whole world is aware. Let nobody should be able to indict anybody at the high table. Because when you keep on mentioning names, it shows that as if they are taking sides. It shows that as if they are trying to support your wish or your complaint. Sir, my agent told me.
Let's have one house, please. Let's have one house, please.
My agent told me categorically, in brass, at the center of the coalition, there were riots, and one of these agents died at the spot. He had to run away and save his life, and that was the reason why he was unable to come over to Yellow, because brass is waterlogged. It's not motorable. You don't expect my agent to travel from all the way from brass to come here at the midnight to sign a result, because whatever thing that happens, life is very important, so that tomorrow nemesis will not catch up on us. Sir, I want to say this also categorically. It's not a news anymore. It's a reality, and it's what happened. His own party deputy candidate went on campaign on brass. He said, push them inside the water. Kill them and let them die.
It's okay.
No,
Please.
he said so. He said so.
Please, one house. Please, can we have one house? Victor. Mr. Victor. Mr. Victor. Hello, Victor. Please. Please.
Happening there at the Yenagoa Collation Center, we shouldn't be. We want to believe that the security operatives there will put the situation under control. And we want to apologize. Earlier we went off technical issues, which has been fixed, as you can see. We'll definitely reconnect with our Yenagoa Network Center as soon as that situation is, or tension rather, is doused. Let's pick up with the conversation here in the studio. Mr. Dazang, you saw the whole rancor happening there at the State Collation Center there in Yenagoa. It's just, I don't know how to describe this now, but please let me hear from you, your perspective.
Well, I think it's that show, to me, is a show of shame. The grandstanding is unnecessary. If you had issues with the collation at a certain level, your agent should have complained at that level.
Yeah.
And even if you want to escalate that complaint, I mean, that is not how to do it. People should be very civil, people should be very polite, people should respect themselves, and they should respect other agents, and then the returning officer. So I think also that at that point the returning officer should have also invited the security people to intervene, because if that is allowed to escalate, then at the end of the day violence might ensue in that collation center, and we are at the point of getting the result returned. So it's unfortunate, and normally these collation centers allow you to ventilate your views, but they should not disrupt the process. And the fact that someone disagreed with the collation exercise at a certain level, maybe at the ward level or at the state collation level, does not detract from the validity of that election. And once a return has been made, then you have to defy or follow due process, and that is what the kind of example we should set. We are dealing with a state in which you have only 8 local governments. You could imagine if we had like twice that number of local governments, what would have happened? So it's not encouraging at all. The spectacle is shameful, is disgraceful, and we expect better and more decorous comportment from people at this stage, because if you are representing, if you are an agent representing a candidate,
political party or a candidate,
or a party at that level, we expect certain level of decency and civility. You don't carry yourself as if the way they would in the motor park. So it's unfortunate, it's unbecoming, and it's a sin that should not be allowed to continue.
Mr. Modibo, I'm sure you also have your reactions to that situation we just witnessed. Mr. Dazang has mentioned the conduct of agents like that. Just 2 local government areas left, and this brass is what is bringing this whole tension. We've not even heard from the Southern Ijaw yet.
Yeah, so the truth is everybody has his own right, but I think we all should understand and know that where your right ends is exactly where someone's right begins. you are allowed to air your grievances and say whatever. But use of foul language, use of force, or use of trying to fight or something is another thing is in an entirety. And the law says air what you think it's a problem for the commission to take what you're saying, but it did not say disrupt the process. And what we just saw is rather unfortunate that it's party agents, and these are people that entrust the people of Bayelsa entrust their candidates to vote for them. Now, what you're showing there is automatically you're showing what will happen or how it will happen. So I think it's unfortunate for people to disrupt process, and it's better they allow the process to flow.
Information reaching us says that that situation has been put under control. So let's connect back to the State Collation Center there in Yenagoa.
Southern Ijo is still not ready. Yeah, so we will plead that we will return back to this hall in the next 1 hour. Yes, in the next 1 hour, please. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, there you have it. In the next 1 hour, the state returning officer has said that they will return, or rather reconvene, to pick up with the final collation of results there. And you're sure to stay tuned to the network service of the NTA, because we'll bring you every detail as they unfold. Mr. Modibo, you were just sharing your thoughts on that, so please go ahead.
So I was just saying things around disrupting process is actually unfortunate. I mean, what are you trying to tell the people that already voted your candidate? Because all of them are representing a candidate, from the PDP to the APC to the ACOT and to the SDP. All of them are speaking to the number of people that might have voted for them or something. And I also want us to, the people that are there, to note that, politics is around, or is about ideologies. Right? So people believe in the ideology that a particular party represents, and that is why they are going further to say, oh, okay, we are voting for this particular person. And you that is representing the person, obviously, if they said, I'm representing this very person, I am representing the brand, I'm representing what that person represents. So if you're showing yourself today on national television trying to fight, which is not good, we should not say is something that any of the candidates should represent. What are you telling the people? They have made a mistake, because they have definitely voting someone that is bringing fight or disrupting process. So I think it's normal for us to air our thing, but come on, look at it. Bayelsa just have 8 local government. Kogi has 21, I think Imo has 23 or
27.
27. And I mean, the process has ended since, So, I know every state has its own peculiarities, but I think those people should try as much as possible not to disrupt the process and not to cause another issue that will lead to another thing. We all know that they only have Bayelsa before any other thing. So Bayelsa remain after every other thing. So let them just put that in context and then abide by the rules and see what will unfold. We're going back in the next 1 hour. I pray in that next 1 hour we should be done with the entire process. And then, I mean, there are grievance mechanism that is set in place. You approach the court, that is the tribunal or that distinct to air your grievances. We've seen what happened in Kano, we've seen what's happening in Plateau, we've seen what's happening in Adama and other things. So let's just follow the process.
Okay, and just before I bring in Mr. Dazang, our correspondent, Kinsley Amajiri, we saw him earlier during the news. He's set to feed us with information from Yenagoa State Collation Center. Kinsley, if you're ready, please just connect with us right away. Go ahead.
All right, the electoral officer, the state returning officer, Professor Farouk, just announced that they will be reconvening in the next 1 hour. But for today, the results from Grass local government area has been announced. This brings the total number of collated results in the state to 7. You recall that Bayelsa State has 8 local government areas, so we are waiting the last local government area, Southern Nigeria. When that is announced, the final winner of this election will be determined. At the moment, this is the situation at the State Coalition Office here in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa State capital.
Okay, Kingsley, just before I let you go, I know you're under pressure there too, but very quickly, please. Following the whole situation you witnessed there live, what's the situation at the moment with the agents? Have they comported themselves? What could have caused the whole rancor?
All right, it's all about the arguments that are arising from the outcome of the coalition. Some of the party agents are raising issues about compliance to the INEC process. And actually, why the coalition held yesterday, when some of those party agents raised certain issues, the state returning officer directed that they should make a formal complaint to the commission. This morning, when they resumed today's session resumed, one of the party agents raised also concern, but the other one took offense that the state returning officer directed that the explanation be given, which the other party agent said this has not been the standard that have been set so far since the coalition process began. From this own perspective, formal complaint ought to have also be written to the commission, why it will be addressed maybe later on. That was what generated the heated argument you saw at this coalition center. But in any case, the hall have been stabilized. Normalcy, of course, have taken course, awaiting the next 1 hour when the remaining Southern Nigeria local government area is expected to be collated.
All right, thank you very much, Kingsley, for that update. I'm sure we'll connect with you again as soon as they reconvene for the final collation of results. Thank you, Kingsley. All right, okay. Our correspondent there, Kingsley Amajiri, feeding us with update happening there at the State Coalition Center in Yenagoa. Mr. Dazang, I'm sure you wanted to react before we cross over to our correspondent there. I know agents like this, you know, they stand up to interject the process because they're fighting for transparency and accountability. But in what manner are you supposed to fight for that accountability and transparency? When we were off air, you were just sharing with Mr. Modibo that it's not every agent, it's not compulsory that you must sign the results sheets. And at the ward center, you're supposed to be there, you know, to follow the process. So you were there. Why didn't you present your complaint? Why come to disrupt the process?
Yes, I think the issue of these polling agents is coming to the fore, particularly in the conduct of this election. And I think it is a good thing. Number one, before now, not much premium was laid on the place of the polling agent, in spite of the fact that they have a very crucial role to play in the process. But the Electoral Act 2022 elevated that position and invested it with some measure of power. In time past, all that the agent or representative of the party or candidate needed to do was to present himself at the point of distribution of sensitive materials, result sheets, ballot papers, and so on, from the CBN to the state office of the INEC, to the local government, and then to the ward and polling unit. But the Electoral Act 2022 now says, in addition to merely citing these sensitive documents, the polling agents or the representatives of the political parties can insist on taking even photographs of the relevant sensitive materials and their serial numbers. Now, I recall that last year about this time, I was in Uyo when INEC organized with the support of the European Union and the Kuka Center, organized a workshop for the leadership of the political parties. And there were two major things. One was to explain to the political parties the provisions of the Electoral Act, as enacted, and then to also explain to them the new roles that have been assigned to the polling agents. They were trained on that, and then it was supposed to be a kind of master trainer that you now cascade the training from the leadership of the political parties to the polling agents. But it would seem to me as if the political parties did not even consider what INEC and the development partners were trying to do to confer knowledge of the process to them and then to the agents. Now, what is playing out here clearly shows a lack of understanding of their own roles. Because even though the Act invests the agents with some of these powers, you are not compelled to sign the results sheet.
Okay, Mr. Dazang, I would like to just hold that thought. We have a guest joining us via Zoom, and we don't want to lose that signal. She's been waiting, so let's just connect with her. Madam Patricia Madwemizi, I hope I got that right. She's the Director, National Orientation Agency at Bayelsa State. She's joining us via Zoom there. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us, and we do apologize for keeping you waiting. Very quickly, Mr. Dazang was just sharing with us the aspect of training when it comes to electoral processes and all of that. And I'm sure you follow the development happening there as a state collation center in Yenagoa. How would you react to that?
Well, my reaction is that is unexpected of them, because if you have this reorientation and the process of election, you're not supposed to be displaying what they just displayed here as enlightening people. They know how to present themselves when it comes to any issue concerning a grievous things after elections. They know what to do. You put it into writing and it will be taken care of. But for them to display that kind of attitude, I think it is their upbringing, the much way they understand what electoral process is all about. Because if whoever you are representing is cool-headed and he knows the law, he knows what to do, I don't think he will allow you to behave the way they have behaved here just now. Because for them to even use mouth and start using their feet, it is very, very, it's not a welcome development at all.
Now, this behoves more when it comes to, you talked about reorientation, and I'm sure that responsibility falls under the National Orientation Agency. How much sensitization was carried out? I know voter education has to do with the INEC, but reorientation aspect, for the electorate to understand conduct of electoral processes, when participating, even if you want to give in your full active participation, there should be conduct, there should be decorum when it comes to that. How much was done in that aspect by the agency?
Actually, we did that. Even my university chief was in Yenagoa to flag off the sensitization process that is exactly around them.
Okay, well, we've lost Madam Patricia Madwemizi. I'm sure if we're able to connect again, we'll rejoin her because the signal there is very poor. I don't know why, and that's why Mr. Dazanga had to. Okay, I'm told she's back. Please go ahead. Okay. We'll wait to get more information from her end. You just heard what Madam Patricia was just saying. Yes. Sensitization obviously is usually carried and trainings, not just by INEC and also by NOA. So You were just sharing with us those thoughts.
Yes, what I was saying is that there was a master trainer or trained the trainers for the political leadership of the political parties about the role of polling agents, particularly with respect to the Electoral Act 2022. And it would seem to me as if the political parties did not cascade that training, to their polling agents, as evidenced by this kind of comportment. And I'm aware that a number of persons, even in INEC, retired INEC people, approached one or two political parties to say, look, in view of the amendments to the section concerning polling agents and so on, we want to do a kind of training for you, and they didn't bother to, one or two, I know one or two resident electoral commissioners who tried to interest the political parties to take advantage of their knowledge of the process to train their polling agents, and they didn't take advantage of that. So here we are, and then this kind of unfortunate display. And this is supposed to be, if you are representing a governorship candidate, you are supposed to carry yourself with the highest sense of responsibility, because it is like the candidate himself talking, because you are representing him. And if you are, for example, representing NTA at any occasion, you must carry yourself very well, and even if you are provoked, you must calm yourself down, knowing that this issue does not concern only you, but NTA as an organization, as an institution, and this is an institution that goes back to decades, and it has produced so many people who have gone through it, and therefore anything you do, must be informed by all this sense of responsibility. And it is unfortunate that this played out, and because it also speaks to if this is the kind of person you are presenting as someone who is your image maker, then that's a challenge. But I think also that what is relieving is that eventually the returning officer was able to call for the intervention of the security agents, and they did the needful by dousing the tension. And we also hope that the other outstanding result, being the one being awaited, will soon be presented.
Okay,
we
let me
recognize that Bayelsa has peculiar terrain, and probably that explains why the collation for the outstanding two local governments, Brass and Southern Ijo, was delayed until today to allow those who are bringing the result, to take their time to bring it to Yenagua. Because I had observed earlier on that when you are on the high sea, it is prudent for the boats carrying the staff not to overspeed. And it is also, for safety reasons, it's not wise to drive the boat into the night. And I think that may have informed why they delayed this aspect of the collation until today, so that they will bring in the results from those distant places.
And just to refresh our minds, with the Brass local government area results that was announced earlier, APC 18,431, LP 83, and NRM 31, and PDP 12,602. Mr. Modibo, you are you're the head of data collection and an election observer, and I know you visited about seven local government areas in Kogi State. Kogi is done. But from data you're collating for Yenagua, it's just 8 local government areas, and I heard you lamenting earlier to Mr. Dazang, just 8, and we're having this drag till this time. based on your observation, what could be responsible for this?
First of all, there is a natural cause of, the part of Bayelsa that is a riverine area, so accessing that communities has to do with a lot of hustle, from, the waterways, and then more of like a logistical issue. And then another thing has to do with, election, like in Brass, election was done, concluded and everything. What was remaining was the ward to local government collection, and there was some level of issues, security issues that lead to some level of pockets of violence around that, which was able to, which the security were able to address it. So particularly now, we've been trying to receive reports of what is happening in the southern Ijo to know what is the problem, a state that has 27 local government as well as the one that have 21 were able to conclude the process. But if you look at what is happening during the coalition center, of which that's what he was talking about around what people are putting up, and if you look at what happened yesterday, is the same thing. A lot of people have a lot of concern, and when you have concern, you don't pay attention to details. You just want to speak about everything, and just so that I don't know, maybe so that their paycheck will be identified or what. But that is the issue. But I think it's an issue that we should not disrupt. It's an issue that we should do it based on time, because a lot of people have a lot of things to do. Maybe none of you might have envisioned that the result and stuff will take till Monday.
Yes.
So it might have disrupted even NTA. It might have disrupted some programs of NTA. It might have disrupted some programs of the people, the commissioners, the police that are there, that have to keep calm before redeploying back to their base. So the other man is saying they have all the time to wait. The country will not wait for just Bayelsa. Yes. So we just have to realize that, okay, this process is a process that has a lifespan. Let's just do it and finish up the process, because whether we like it or not, there will be someone that will win the election and there will be someone that will lose the election. Yeah. That is a certain law. So why having the issue when you can approach the tribunal and get justice if you think justice is not served to you? So I think that's largely the problem, the issue of that natural cause of Bayelsa being a riverine area, as well as the issue of insecurity that was encountered during the ward to local government coalition.
All right, thank you, Mr. Modibo. We want to reconnect to Madam Patricia Madwe-Mezi. I'm sure you've heard from our guest here in the studio the peculiarities, to the Yenegua elections, and we're wondering, you were sharing with us before you went off the aspect of training, reorientation from the agency, talking about the National Orientation Agency, but the drag is what a lot of people have put questions to. Yes, I can hear you, Madam Patricia. I can hear you clearly. So please share that thought with us. What could be responsible for this?
Like National Orientation Agency, it's just an entity. When you look how to do things.
We're having serious challenge connecting with Madam Patricia, but I hope we get that as soon as possible so we can let her go. All right, Mr. Dazang, based on the data Mr. Modibo was just sharing with us, the aspect of logistics in terms of distance, why we're still having the situation, but they've given enough time to have these two local government areas, assemble for the final collation of results. But in all of this, at the end of the day, like Mr. Modibo said, there will be a winner and there will be losers, of course. We won't call them losers, but a time, to reflect and think of how to re-strategize. So elections, like we always say, is not a do or die affair. Beyond this whole drama we're seeing play out, what should, after the outcome of the elections, what follows suit? beyond, we're not praying for litigation.
You see, before 2015, the African Union and international idea, I remember we were very anxious about one trend, a negative trend about African democracy, which is the inability of those who are defeated in elections to concede defeat. It became an issue. It became a major trend, and the AU was now, working on other election management bodies and stakeholders across the continent to see how they can encourage politicians to accept defeat in the aftermath of elections. Recall that even in Nigeria in 2011, we had post-election violence.
Yeah.
Many people died, houses, properties were burned because the outcome of the election it did not meet the aspirations of certain people. And luckily enough for us, in 2015, after the conduct of as we were conducting the 2015 general election, President Goodluck Jonathan, who was then a sitting president and who was a contestant, and who was under pressure, there were people around him who had already set the stage for him not to concede. But as the results were coming in and it became very clear to him that he was going to lose to former President Muhammadu Buhari, he now called General Buhari, as he then was, and congratulated him and said, "You have won this election and I'm calling to congratulate you." Even President Buhari himself was pleasantly shocked by he never, and he said it on more than one occasion, that he never imagined that if Jonathan lost the election, he was going to concede defeat in the way he did. And that has been accounted for to Jonathan as a mark of statesmanship.
Yes.
Apart from the fact that that election went well and it reflected the intent of Nigerians, here was a sitting president who had the powers, if he wanted to truncate the process, who deferred to the outcome of the election. And by so doing, he set a very big example. And he assuaged the anxiety of the African Union and international idea about this phenomenon or this negative trend of candidates refusing to concede defeat. And let me tell you, it wasn't a mean thing that President Goodluck Jonathan did. And for you to appreciate the magnitude of what he did, I then was working with a number of people amongst our development partners. I recall what one of the staff of the UN from Ethiopia told me. She said, "Look, I now feel 10 feet tall. I'm proud to be an African today." She called me to say, I'm leaving Nigeria for Europe on posting, on another assignment, but I'm very proud to be an African. I'm feeling 10 feet tall today because of what President Jonathan did for Africa. Now, after setting that a defining example, after raising the bar in terms of concession, unfortunately, what we are seeing is different from what the example that, Jonathan laid. So my expectation going forward is that people should concede defeat, particularly if the process was transparent.
Yeah.
And that is why we keep saying INEC should always do the needful by making sure that its processes are very transparent, that its logistics are top-notch, that its innovations are also in fine fettle. And thank God we have seen in this election a significant improvement in terms of the beavers, in terms of the performance of the RF, and in terms of also early opening of polls, in terms of security. Yeah. Of course, there were pockets of violence here and there, but you could see that given what transpired in those 2-3 states, and their very negative antecedent in terms of peaceful conduct, nobody thought that these elections will pan out peacefully in this manner. So I think we've laid a foundation. It's a very good departure from what happened in 2023. And you know, Warren Buffett, the American billionaire, who was one of the richest men in the world at a point, and who is referred to the Oracle as the Oracle of Omaha, used to say that you can take 20 years to build a reputation.
All right, Mr. Dazank, I'm told Madam Patricia Madwe-Mezier is back. This time around, I want you to stay with us. Okay, Madam Patricia, we really need your views because of your... Yes, okay, I understand the network. Because of the responsibility, you know, for the agency, you've seen the whole electoral process. Going forward, you know, for subsequent elections, how much effort do you think should be put in the areas of sensitization for electorate, you know, to understand the importance of not having voter apathy, and also when we're talking of patriotism, mannerism, and conduct, you know, when agents or political parties are presenting themselves?
Okay, thank you. The NOA is actually doing their best to make sure that, you know, they create this awareness of not fighting during election. But you find out that at a point when a particular candidate will see electoral election as a do or die affair, that if I don't win, nobody wins. That whatever it will take, I have to, you know, be the winner. So it is very difficult for even NOA to sensitize such a person, because he has a very strong mind to say determination is either we do it, we get it, or we die with it. And when we have a situation like that, and you are the leader of such parties, when they are out, you really know that, yes, even their agents, they will toe the same line. So we keep on doing our best going forward. We will try to call them again to order, just like children. You know, you just keep on telling them over and over again, hoping that one day civilization will come to Nigeria and we'll be able to get it right. This thing we're talking about is not just only in Bayelsa, it happens in Nigeria, because even the fear that was put into the minds of people, you find out that, you know, a few people could not even come out to vote, because before then, a month ago, people were really scared about the way people were going about this election thing, that it must be me, if it is not me, nobody else will come in. So people get scared. But we thank God that at least, even though a few lives was lost, the blood did not flow on the streets of Bayelsa the way we were expecting it to be.
Okay, Madam Patricia, also another critical area of concern is the aspect of carrying everyone along as a stakeholder in the electoral process. What's the synergy you're getting from reports? Because I'm made to understand that when there is elections like this, we have election monitors, observers who send in reports to the stakeholders. And I want to understand that the NOA is also part of the stakeholders. So based on preliminary reports you have gathered, you know, from these observers and all of that, how much do you think has been put to use in terms of implementation to have an effective and seamless process?
Well, the effort has yielded the result. because now we are seeing seven NGAs. So we just have one to go. And because of the terrain, there could be delay. There could be maybe as a result of team, they don't have.
Wow.
Okay. We lost her again. I think we should just let, I don't know if my director will allow us to allow her go. Okay, she's back. Madam Patricia, please just round off your thoughts for us very quickly so we don't lose you again.
At least for now, the election were not as bad as people were speculating, because we really are speculating that it's going to be very, very bad, as many lives were going to go down. But we thank God that everything was smooth. So we keep on talking to people, because a lot of people's minds need the reorientation. We need to do a lot of awareness creation for the politicians and their agents, because not until we're able to get it right, election is going to go the way we are seeing it now.
All right, I'll have to let you go, Madam Patricia Madwe-Mezier. She's the Director of National Orientation Agency, Bayelsa State. We joined her live via Zoom at Yenagoa there. Thank you so much, and do have a beautiful day as you monitor the process there on ground.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, Mr. Modibo, when Madam Patricia was just speaking, you were nodding your head as an election observer. I'm sure there is an interaction, or synergy rather, between stakeholders like this.
First of all, before observing election, we try to do that usual call for that point of partnership in sensitization and partnership in trying to make the country better. So what she's saying is really the thing. People require a lot of reorientation, and INEC has been doing well when it comes to that, but it's always in celebration time.
Anytime you mention INEC has been, this is like the third time you've mentioned it. I could just imagine the joy in Mr. Dazang's heart.
To be honest, I think sometimes we a lot of times people look at civil society organizations as antagonistic organizations, and obviously, when there is a good thing, we have to say that this is good. Yeah. We have been part of looking at that voter education of INEC, but I have to say it has always been during like a celebration time. And one of the recommendations we have given during the 2023 general election in our report has to do with having INEC create community radios, or have a radio station, or have a place where, more of like a newsletter or something that people will be aware of the kind of things that is happening within the INEC system.
Yes, and it shouldn't be, sorry to cut in there, it shouldn't be always when it's close to a year to the time, then we see the sensitization heat up.
Yes.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So I always say, I was opportune to go through the contingency plan that INEC had. And it's a very robust one. If you look at it, anybody that haven't to have like that document will know that these are people that are ready, willing to, give us that thing we require. We are progressive, we might not be moving the way we ought to move, but I think we are going somewhere. The only thing is we need to be fast a little bit so that we can meet up with that point of that where we're looking for. I have observed election in Kenya, I've observed election in Liberia, right? All this year, last year and this year. And I can tell you, I was in Gambia as well. I can tell you, we've done well to some extent. But the only problem that INEC has to do in recreating the whole thing is the fact that there are three things involved in this process of election, or INEC as a commission. There is trust, belief, and hope. Right?
You left out confidence.
Yes. So why I left out this particular thing is that is what INEC, that's the disconnection between INEC and the people. And maybe my own generation, that's the young people. Because the reality is we were promised something, right? And then that thing did not happen. and there was no explanation. It's only when we get to the tribunal had to explain that, oh, it's at the discretion of INEC to do this and this and this. So I think if INEC is having like more of like a monthly newsletter or a radio show that will sort of speak to people, to inform people that, see, the commission is trying to do this and this and this and this, and this and this and this policy is going to help in this and this and this, right? It sort of have people be informed on those particular things. That will boost the belief of people to the commission. That will boost another level of trust to the commission. And at the end of the day, people will have hope that the commission is going to present something credible. Because now, if you look at going back to the confidence of what people are having, certain number of people do not go out to vote because they feel their vote does not count, right? And I always say, if their vote doesn't count, politicians will not use their money to buy vote. That is another thing. But they believe that their vote does not count because they feel elections are not free and fair, right? So if you move the fact that there are people that we bring into the system to come and conduct this very election, and these people belong to a constituent. So if today, as he is a former INEC personnel and he lives in a particular place, if those people, if election is rigged or something and everything goes, it affects him too. Yes. Right? The way it will affect me. So we ought to understand that these people also belong to a constituent, right? So I think the commission has to do something around boosting that level of hope, trust, and belief for people to, come in. A lot of times this election, this off-cycle election that we just concluded, people just thought that, okay, a lot of people are saying INEC is going to do something to redeem
its image, yeah.
Its image. And if you look at what happened, I will tell you, as someone that observed Ikiti and Oshun, then the general election, then this very election, you could see that there have been level of INEC listen. And the biggest point of everything in election is listening. I was meant to understand that we stayed almost a week plus in Kenya. They've had an issue. There were a lot of issues. But their own issue is before swearing in or anything will happen, all the tribunal and every cases will be trashed out. You get, and that's the difference from them. And one of the recommendations we've made was around looking at, see, the same beavers we call beavers in Kenya, they call it KIMCAT. Everything we do here is exactly what Kenya does in their election. The only thing is they have more other things that they do that we don't do. Like they do diaspora voting. In I think 15 countries participate, 15 or 10 or thereabout participated from this. And then for them, they don't have that unique point to say they are building a central pool where your voter's card, your international passport, or your driver's license, any government-approved ID card can enable you do election. The only thing is prior to the election, you go and submit that this is the ID card I'll be using to cast my vote, right? So these are things that if we adopt, if you look at the number of Nigerians that are outside the country, if the fact that they cannot travel down to come and do election, if some certain countries, right, in Europe, in Asia, in Africa and other part of the world can conduct in that, we will go a long way. And one of the last thing I would say, we really love to see, this is 21st century, we would really love to see technology played out in our election. But I tell you, there was a time I joined some INEC commissioners to the UK for a training, and I happens to be part of it. And then we went to one company that built on the electronic voting machine. And the CEO of that particular company said, there are two things involved. If you want to rig election with an electronic machine, you need one person. If you want to rig election manually, you need hundreds of people, right? Which one do you want to do? You get my point. So that is not to discredit the level of participation of technology in the election, but if you scan through both the developed nation, the developing nation, and the people that are coming up, you could count the number of people that are doing electronic voting, right? Because of the dangers of it, you know. So the reality is, what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is, as we advance, we're having beavers now, we're having IREF, we're having other things. We can always see the challenges and the positive event of those things. We can keep growing. We can keep making the positive impact of it. But we have to, the INEC as a commission has to go back to see how they can put the information, all right, the information that of what the commission is going through to the public, so that the public will be able to trust the system that the commission is building, have hope in the commission, and then believe that the commission will one day do a free, fair, and credible. In as much as we're doing, but we still have that level of pocket of issues that will discredit it. There is no far-fetched election. I mean, ever since I started observing election, I've come to realize that it's hardly for you to see a very perfect election. But there are things that we should not record. I tell you what, during 2019, right, there are issues that we recorded around having a ballot paper without ballot box, with a ballot box without cover. You know, it has been an issue that we ought to have not recorded. And one thing generally that for us in connected development we're trying to do is we have neglected some part of election, right? We think it's not important, like as for people in the civil society organization, like elections like the local government election. If you look at what happened in that, if we're going to correct that very well, right, it's very cardinal that local issues are meant to be addressed in a local way, right? So I think we're trying to strategize and see whenever there is a conduct of election in any state, we're going to see how we can deploy our local observers to see how we can generate information on how those elections are being conducted. Because
and how they can be, you know,
better.
Yes, how they can be better.
A lot of times we just focus on general elections. Off-cycle election is not something that a lot of people focus as well.
Yes, as long as it doesn't concern their state.
Yeah,
you know?
I know it doesn't concern a lot of people, and I know but we should know that it's INEC that is conducting the election, and it's very expensive, right? Election in the FCT local government election, a lot of people don't pay attention to it, and I think that's one of the
a lot of people don't even know when it happens.
Thank you. So I think that's one of the things we're trying to strategize to see us looking at this level of solving issues, you know, that may come up, so that we can just solve the problem from top to bottom and from bottom to top.
Mr. Modibo, brilliant initiatives you've presented here. And Mr. Dazang, one question that will bug the mind of anyone listening right now is, what could be responsible for that delay in terms of, it's only when the elections are near, then INEC comes out to list out candidates and terms for election process and all of that. Sensitization should be a continuous thing. But you tell us, is it funds that is responsible, or what could be really? Because if you want to bridge that gap of sensitization for the populace, you need enough time, because you're dealing with millions of people who you want to participate in election, so that it's not when there is election then we come out here and say, oh, there's voter apathy and all of that, when people don't have confidence in the process. So what could be responsible? Why wait that long? You are a stakeholder in this business. Go ahead, please.
Stakeholder indeed. Well, we need to appreciate a number of things, and thank God he raised a number of things, and some of the issues he raised may not be particularly, with due respect, may not be particularly informed, and since I'm here, I'll provide the gaps. Now, when you conduct elections, there are 3 cycles: the pre-election, the election proper, and the post-election period. In time past, voter education and publicity was limited to shortly before the election and then the actual conduct of the election. But by and by, the election management body, appreciated that you must do voter education around and along the 3 cycles. You cannot isolate any of the cycles.
Yeah.
You must do voter education before the election, during the election, and after the election. You provide information regarding the conduct of the election before its conduct. You provide and intensify information during the conduct, and you explain the procedure and the processes, and then you now manage the outcome of the conduct of the election by providing information also. Now, to do voter education in a robust manner requires a lot of funding. Funding beyond what is being appropriated for the Independent National Electoral Commission. But thankfully also, in realization of the paucity of funds, INEC also collaborates with civil society, and it gets technical support from development partners. A lot of the workshops you see INEC conducting, a lot of the engagements it does with stakeholders like civil society, media, traditional rulers, leaders of faith-based organizations, traditional rulers, women groups, youth groups. This support comes from development partners. Outside, of course, INEC spends the money appropriated for it, but like I said, it's always not adequate. And for the 18 years I was involved in publicity and voter education in the commission, we have had to do all the things that you thought we were not doing. We used to produce a newsletter, a monthly newsletter called the Electoral Magazine. We used to produce...
Where is it being transmitted?
Excuse me.
Okay.
A weekly program on television, voter education.
Okay.
The INEC half hour, which used to air either on NTA
It airs on NTA
or
too.
AIT.
Yeah.
Thank God you can remember that one. We have the daily bulletin, which is produced by the department on a daily basis based on activities that are unfolding, and soft copies of the daily bulletin are shared to stakeholders so that they are kept abreast of what is happening. In addition to this, INEC also consciously does publicity and voter education by radio. There are, sometimes it gets support from development partners, sometimes it pays for like 3 months at a tranche, and it does voter education along those 3 months. Then it renews it for another 3 months, like that. So, in the course of the year, if there are any elections taking place, either off-cycle, by-election, supplementary election, all these issues will be discussed, using this platform.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. And the INEC half hour and the Electoral Magazine. And then, in addition to this, with the popularity of social media, because as we speak now, from my record, on a daily basis, not less than 100 million Nigerians use the internet every day. And during elections, particularly during the 2023 general elections, I don't have the record for this off-cycle election, the number increases to more than 100 million. And INEC takes advantage of this presence of people on social media to put messages on social media platforms like its website, like Twitter, Facebook, and so on. And then it has an INEC Citizens Contact Center. Now that INEC Citizen Contact Center is manned by youths like you who are internet savvy. And what they do is they receive information on a daily basis, inquiries they are received, and then the responses are made timeously. In fact, real time. If you ask questions, they answer. If it is beyond them, they escalate the questions, and the relevant...
Is it still active?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
The Annex Citizens Contact Center.
Okay.
And you can always access the website of ANEC on www.anecnigeria.org. I have left, but I have not forgotten the website to show you that I still visited.
Because you're a stakeholder.
Yes. So all these have been there. And I know that sometimes because the funds may not be there, so these programs might be limited towards the election. But otherwise, whenever funds are available, the Commission recognizes the need for it to engage. And through the engagements with the media and civil society, you know, anything that happens, like...
Mr. Dazang, sorry to cut in there. We're just getting information that Yenagoa State Collation Center has reconvened. Can we get an ambience, please, so that we know what's happening?
The atmosphere is also
I'm sure they're trying to put acts together so that they can start off right away. But while they put all that in place, let's just pick up with our conversation here in the studio. I'm sure they're trying to set up, you know, to commence properly. Mr. Dazang, please just finish your thoughts for us. The moment we've been waiting for is just almost at that time.
Okay.
It's not even up to 1 hour, luckily for us. So we get to know the final end of this whole wait. It's a long wait. You can imagine how this, the candidates who are vying for these top positions are also feeling, you know, the anticipation, the anxiety can be high.
So I was trying to say that there are existing platforms.
Okay.
Through which the Commission reaches out to stakeholders. And funding permitting, it tries to make sure that these platforms are working, and they are working robustly. And there are, in fact, I have not exhausted some of the platforms that they use. For example, we also reach out to vernacular speaking stations, like the BBC Hausa. On 1 or 2 occasions when I was there, I've sent my staff to come and patronize and take advantage of the NTA, Igbo and Yoruba media of the NTA. I've also taken advantage of the Hausa program on the NTA. During the 2023 elections, I was there 3 or 4 times, to explain the process for your Hausa audience. So I wish I could speak Igbo and Yoruba fluently. I could also have done that. So to tell you the extent to which the Commission goes out of its way to take advantage of existing media platforms, traditional and otherwise, to make sure that they reach out to Nigerians. And but of course, there are times when people might feel that the Commission is not fast enough for their liking. But you see, you run a commission. There are messages you don't just send out unless they have been discussed thoroughly, the implications of whatever you want to send out have been trashed out, and a decision or decisions are taken regarding them, and there is consensus about what to say and about who to say them, you know, and so that the spokespersons for the commission are saying the same thing at the same time. You don't send discordant tunes. You don't sing discordant tunes and then confuse the stakeholders. So these are some of the things that are happening. And some of us, of course, come here and also augment what they are doing. We provide insights. We provide information. They make information available to me. As a stakeholder, I'm interested in what they do, and I think perhaps I'm not thumping my chest more than any other person. I've written about the electoral process in the popular newspapers, week in, week out, explaining the process leading up to the conduct of the 2023 elections on a weekly basis.
Okay.
Educating Nigerians, and the commission also was playing its part. They were also using other people, other platforms beyond the commission itself. And then they were also making information available to civil society at the national level, at the state level, our state offices, across the federation. Anytime something is agreed upon, this is the commission's position. It is immediately sent out.
Mr. Dazang, I'm sure they're about to start.
Okay.
So let's cross over to Yenegua INEC office there. Let's get feed from that angle.
Let's be quiet so that we can get these figures that are being read out by the coalition officer. Thank you very much. So, the Southern Nigerian local government, please, the EO, you introduce yourself, after which you hand over the mic to the local government coalition officer to introduce himself and subsequent presentation of the results, please. Thank you. Please, let's have one house. Thank you.
Let me sincerely stand on all the protocols that are established since yesterday. My name is Awajoni Christian Utong, the electoral officer for Southern Ijaw local government area. Let me also use this medium to sincerely apologize for this delay, because Southern Ijaw...
EO, please, EO, don't go ahead and... please, thank you.
I am Ibrahim Khalil Adam, a professor of molecular and biotechnology from Federal University of Lafayette, standing in as the coalition officer for the Southern Ijaw local government area of Bayelsa State for the 11th November 2023 governorship election.
That's all right. So please go ahead. Tell us the areas, the number of areas that constitute the Southern Ijaw local government, please.
The Southern Ijaw local government area.
It will be followed immediately by the presentation of results. Thank you.
The Southern Ijaw local government area has 17 RAs, 17. Number of registered voters, 184,401. Number of accredited voters, 184,401. Number of accredited voters, 50153. Number of accredited voters, 50153. Votes received by parties. A, 1.
Party A.
Party A, 1. Party A, 1. Party AA, 2. Party AA, 2. Party ADC, 3-1. Party ADC, 3-1. Party ADP, 5-3. Party ADP, 5-3. Party APC, 18174. Party APC, 18174. Party APGA, 7. Party APGA, 7. Party APM 2. Party APM 2. Party APP 8. Party APP 8. Party BP 2. Party BP 2. Party LP 119. Party LP 119. Party NNPP 0. Party NNPP 0. Party NRM 37. Party NRM 37. Party PDP 24685. Party PDP 24685. Party PRP 31. Party PRP 31. Party SDP 2. Party SDP 2. Party ZLP 4. Party ZLP 4. Total valid votes 43158. Total valid votes 43158. Rejected votes 663. Rejected vote 663. Total votes cast 43821. Total vote cast 43821.
Thank you. Thank you. LGA Coalition Officer, Prof, was there any polling unit where where there was no election or the election held but the results were cancelled?
Thank you very much, the returning officer. From what was reported to us, there were RAs, of course, some polling units in these RAs where results were not presented, or were presented but due to some issues such as overvoting, snatching of ballots, snatching of Viva's machine, and of course, as a result of some of these incidents, and even hijacked, the results from those areas were not accepted.
They were recorded 0.
0, yes. Null votes.
Okay. Comments from the agents, please. Your name and then the party you are representing.
My name is Dr. Dennis Otiotu. First of all, I'm wondering with the procedure, what he's saying here, because when elections are conducted, you always score 0 by paragraph 100 of the regulations for the conduct of election. You always score 0 if there was willful obstruction to the deployment of materials or the use of beavers. That's when you score 0. But a situation where elections are conducted and then results are brought, and for one reason they are cancelled, you record them and then state the number of votes, the number of registered voters in those areas in from EC40G. Then at the local government, at the ward level, for the EC40G1. But the situation where you say more than 50,000 votes scored by APC was cancelled in this area, and he is telling us that they entered 0. Look, 0 can be entered only at the ward level. The National Commissioner here knows that you enter 0 from EC8B, not from EC8C. So he ought to tell us the number of registered voters or the number of PVC collected for those units and ROs that were cancelled. But for us to now begin to say that, oh, they were entered 0, the principle, I can read it here, paragraph 100, is very clear. That where
elections, there was willful obstruction to the deployment of materials, that means election was not held. Or the people refused to use beavers, that means election could not go on. That is when you enter zero. And for purposes of determining the margin of lead, you will not now include those ones or consider those ones. But where election was held, and for one reason or the other, it was cancelled, you have to record it in from EC 40G1, I mean 40G at the unit level, and EC 40G1 at the ward level, and EC 40G2 at the local government level, so that they will be able to tell us how many polling units were cancelled, and then tell us the total number of PVC collected in those polling units. It's not zero.
Thank you very much.
That is one. But where for you to say that, oh, they were entered zero, it's wrong. It's a very wrong procedure. And I believe that the REC and the National Commissioner and those INEC officials here are conversant with this procedure. Secondly, I want to vehemently protest that in Southern Nigeria, over 50,000 of APC votes were deliberately and systematically cancelled for reasons best known to the collation officers. When the results came, the results we have from the unit shows that APC scored over 70,000 votes in Southern Nigeria, but at the collation, that was the reason why Southern Nigeria was brought here to collate. And at the collation center, in this INEC office here, these votes were cancelled without any valid reason whatsoever. And so we are vehemently protesting that they do not have such powers to cancel those results.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We have taken note. Please, next. Returning officer, sir. My name is Right Honorable Talford Ongolo. I am the collation agent for PDP. Now, we have set a standard here. And in normal practice, it's good for us to be even. We have, in line with the clear position of the returning officer, what we have done, we have encouraged at all levels for people to protest in writing. We have filed, for instance, in Southern Nigeria, there were areas where materials, like particularly Ward 4 and a few other areas, materials were hijacked. There are even trending videos of how INEC officials were denied the opportunity to even handle their own materials. Thugs were carrying them on their heads and moving about. So we have filed all those things, believing that having placed them on record, they will be addressed adequately. So I do not want us, because if we actually want to take it this way, then we will now subject, because what he has made are all big and nebulous. You must, because the the collation officer has said for multiple reasons, not for some, in some cases, hijacking, other cases, overvoting, so many reasons. So if you want to attack, even on the merits, what he has said, you will now specifically go to in unit this. This was what happened, and I think that we are not in the position to go into that detailed inquiry here. So in line with what we have been doing here, if they have any protests, let them, if they have also filed their own, like we have done, because we have placed our own on record, so that these things we can move seamlessly. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Next, the man behind. Yes, sir. Please, thank you.
My name is Ambassador Victor Ben, the state coalition agent for Boot Party. I think in line with the rules and what we've been doing here, we are not in law court. So therefore, there is no need for any form of cross-examination of LGA coalition officer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, yes, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name remains Joel Tubodimi, the agent for NNPP. My party, I'm speaking for my party. I am from Southern Nigeria, from Ward 10
Unit 21. I went home to vote. My vote was counted, and other supporters and party members voted there. Our agent collected the result that was given to him. He signed and he collected. I said it here before. I think this award is becoming funny. It started from yesterday. We are not small parties. NNPP is not a small party. Neither all other parties are small parties. So this award is very unfortunate. I was not even, that is, even considered to be giving my vote that I cast, I did in my place. I'm awarded 0 here. 0. What about my own vote? It's very serious. This sharing, there is God who arrests my case.
Thank you very much. Thank you, please. Thank you.
I remain. Can we hear
Let's
ourselves?
have one house, please. Let's have one house, please. Thank you.
Please, can we hear ourselves?
Madam,
Please.
go ahead. Make your comments, please.
I remain Honorable Peace Orama, APM State Collection Agents. I think we are repeating ourselves here. We are no little children. Anyone that stand there will say the same thing. And I see it so funny. As it stands, we have exhausted our time and our strength. There is no fresh air here. And I'm not ready to sit more than this. Please, can we proceed and move forward?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next, please. I think that's the first person. Yes, sir, please.
It's okay.
That's the last person, please. Thank you.
Yes, my name's Chief William Spaka, the agent for National Rescue Movement, NRM. You see, like my sister said, we are repeating ourselves. It's election. And so if there is something that will occur over and over, somebody will want to say something. In Southern Nigeria, that is where the deputy governorship candidate of my party comes from, particularly Ward 16, where it is well known. We also have the results sent to us from the units there, and then the ward there. But funny enough, what we saw here is 37, which of course, how long it took, even with the security agent standing there to make sure that voting do not take place. With over 13 gunboats, we are happy. That is how they decided to cheat us from winning this election. They don't want the National Rescue Movement to rescue the people of Bayelsa. We have seen, but like they said, we should write officially. And we believe that it will be treated very well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. All right, I thought that's the last man.
No. My name is Alan Amadeng, the state collusion agent for SDP. In Southern Niger local government area, my younger ones, they paid their transport from Yenegua here to Southern Niger, Kulama, Ward 17, to vote. They cast their vote. Our agents there, they reported back to us. All our results are intact, and we know the figure.
purpose, just to allow everyone to vent himself so that it doesn't look as if he is disallowing them to state their grievances. But sometimes also, when the leniency is overdone, some people take advantage of it. And I hope that it doesn't, what happened earlier on does not repeat itself. But thank God we are coming to the climax of the election, which is the return. And the local government collation officer has made his presentation. So what we await is for the returning officer to do the tabulation, ensure that whoever is the winner meets the requirements. The total number of the highest votes cast in the election, and then the 25% in at least 2/3 of the local governments in Bayelsa state. And for 8 states, I don't know what 2/3 is, but
for 8 local governments, you mean local government areas?
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm sure a winner will emerge and will meet the requirements from the figures, the tentative
figures
we have seen.
Yeah.
And God willing, we should. In the next maybe 1 or 2 hours, we should have a winner return at the end of the day.
And made to understand that it's raining heavily there at Yenagoa. That's why you're seeing the signal fluctuate. But I'm sure once that is reconnected, we'll rejoin the collation center there. Mr. Modibo, you want to respond to what you just witnessed a little while ago?
I think the process is going well. In as much as I would say it's at the discretion of the returning officer to decide who speaks and who speaks at what time. But maybe for the process of time, you know, so like most of the questions that you see people raising is the one party agent said something and then this one is trying to say, oh, okay, you have to allow the commission, you know. So sometimes that's one of the things that creates the balance. But if maybe the returning officer decided he will allow them to talk, you know, it's at his discretion to do that. But one good thing about the whole process is the process is being monitored closely by the INEC commissioners, you know, the national commissioners that are there, the security and what have you, for us not to have them, you know, sort of disgrace their candidate, which will be a very bad thing. You know, one good thing that will, should I say good thing, or the funniest thing there is Bayelsa has one of the smallest level of local governments in the country. It's one among the state, like just 8 local government, and what we're contesting is the fact that one local government is bringing an issue like the person from NNPP that said he has casted not okay. NRM, okay. NNPP. Okay. He said he traveled from Yenagoa to Southern Ijo to vote, and then, you know, he was recorded 0, which I'm sure they will give him his answer that he's required. And then the NRM person that said his brothers, you know, that obviously he's not the one that knows what happened, so it should be his brothers.
Based on information.
You know. So sometimes, you know, how fake news do thrive is because the real news is not there. You know, so when you tend to just wake up and because your brothers decide to tell you what pleases them, or maybe that's what happened, you know, you don't have to come on national television to say it's your brothers that say. I mean, who will believe, you know, after all the process have been conducted, you just wake up and it's your brothers that told you they have voted and then their votes did not count. Do you know whether or not, I mean, since you're not there when they voted, maybe voted invalid, and then it was recorded as an invalid vote. These are things that should not, I mean, be discussed so that we not spike. And then the people at the collation center, sometimes we need to also understand, you know, before election, there was this thing we usually sign called peace accord, you know, and over time, one of the reports that was given before the 2023 general election was the issue of spokespersons, you know, how they communicate their messages, issues of banters, issues of insult and what have you. And I think, you know, there are some organizations, international partners and civil society organizations that were training spokespersons and what have you. So knowing how to speak English alone does not qualify you to be a spokesperson, or, you know, you have to just look at, like what he said earlier, around how are people going to perceive and comprehend the information you give. So why am I saying that? Why I'm saying that is for people that will be sent to, what do you call it, for people that will be sent to collation centers, sometimes the people sending them to represent them ought to know that what they are doing is broadcast on national television. So for you not to disgrace yourself, disgrace your family, and disgrace the person you are representing, you ought to know how, you know, you have to be deliberate in knowing how people will perceive and comprehend the information you give out there. Because someone might just tune in and just saw what is happening and just decide to move. He picked that information without hearing from another balance, and then that person will go with, you know, we are very good with taking information that is not there and just go with, and then go and put it out there, and then that's how it will now become anything. But the big lesson here is all of us need to also understand that there will be Bayelsa after a candidate. There will be Bayelsa. There was Bayelsa before the candidate. You know, so there is nothing new. I mean, I will always say the process is already laid down. You contested for election, you did your campaign, you did everything, election happened, and you felt there is a problem. All you could do is what? To move to the next level. Yeah. You know, that next level is approaching the court of law. If there is an issue, I mean, I gave an example with Kano. I mean, the person that won election, the tribunal said he is not the one because there are some vote, and I mean, they are in the Court of Appeal now, hearing to know what will happen. It happened in almost all the states that election happened. You know, we've seen what happened in Adama. We've seen the Nasarawa state, obviously now, and I'm sure they are in appeal too. So, I mean, you have to believe that there is a process to everything. So disrupting the process or putting up some information that is not there is not something that will help that, okay, we'll show this thing. But to me, I will say is just for you to show that, oh, okay, I am here, I am representing, just so you know.
And my voice has been heard.
My voice has been heard. But there is limit to what they can do. What the rec of the state or the returning officer, there is a limit to what he can do. All he can do, if I'm not mistaken, is to collect all those data, put them together, and do the announcement. And the other people is just for them to monitor, and for observers is just for them to observe. You know, I always tell people sometimes when someone is monitoring, the person that is monitoring can say, oh, okay, this one, change it to this, move it to this, move it to this. The person that is observing cannot say anything. Rather, just look, write your report and submit, and that is all. You know, so, you know, we ought to just know that the country will exist before us, and it exists before us, and it will exist after us.
Indeed. And Mr. Dazang, based on what Mr. Modibo has shared with us, looking at the powers around the state returning officer there, we saw in Kogi State, when petitions were presented following discrepancies that agents said they observed, which led to previous cancellation before final announcement and all of that. And now we're seeing some parties, you know, present. Earlier, we saw one party present a petition. How does that affect? I want to understand the powers of the state rec there and how it affects the process in terms of presenting the final results, even when there is a petition presented. Does it affect the collation process?
Well, the petitions are not likely to affect the collation process, just as the refusal of the agent to sign the outcome is also not likely to do so. It cannot invalidate the outcome of the election. In time past, before the the promulgation of the Electoral Act 2022, the returning officer was even more powerful, because whatever he returns cannot be upturned except in a court of law. Yeah. But now that has been amended to allow for a review by INEC, by the commission. But before now, you know, the returning officer was so powerful that whatever he returns, whether it is right or wrong, cannot be changed, cannot be upturned, even by the commission, but by a court of law.
True.
But now the commission can look at these things, and if the returning officer erred, it can do a review. That's the difference. As to on a day like this, the REC and the National Commissioner are supervising the process. They are monitors of the commission, and they have every right to correct the process. If what is happening is not correct, it is their duty to put the returning officer aright, to say that this is how to do this. This is because you must also appreciate that the returning officers are ad hoc staff. But also being ad hoc staff means they are also, for the meantime, they are staff of the commission. They are bound by the rules, regulations of the commission. They also swear to an oath of neutrality, just like any INEC staff, you know, to dispense or to do their work honestly and with impartiality. So they are duty bound to do so. And I think you can see that in most cases, the returning officers bend over backward to accommodate all the antics of the of the polling agents. And the whole idea is, at the end of the day, we have a peaceful conduct of elections. And I think that is what the returning officer is training himself here to do. And he's been supported ably there by the National Commissioner in charge of that state, Barrister May Abamuchembu, and the Resident Electoral Commissioner Obo Efanga. So they are there, you know, serving as a bulwark of support and encouragement, and making sure that the right thing is being done. And that's why you can see they are sitting there calmly
and just watching the process.
Yes.
Okay, let's just refresh our minds to what has been announced, talking about for Southern Ijaw and Brass local government areas. For Brass, which was called earlier, okay, yes, APC 18,174, LP 119, NRM 37, and then PDP 24,006. No, this is for Southern Ijaw, I beg your pardon, 685. So now I'll call for Brass. APC 18,431, LP 83, NRM 31, and then PDP 12,602 votes. So the results for these last two local governments have been announced. So we want to be sure that the final collation will commence anytime and a winner will be announced, despite those little hiccups we're witnessing there at the collation center. Mr. Modibo, just very quickly now, in electoral processes like this at the collation center, I don't know if observers are also present there, or your job just ends during the voting process. But with situations like this, is this also part of reports you gathered, you know, for future reference?
Yeah.
Okay.
So in Yenagoa, presently, I have two people there that I'm very proud of. I mean, they have been there for a very long time.
Okay.
And, you know, one of the things why I'm concerned is the fact that we never envisioned that the whole process will reach this moment. But, I mean, they're there, and we're proud of them. So, for us, each and every observer have the methodology of what he, or let me say, what she is observing. So for us, we are always at the point of observing the processes of election. Now, process that has to do with pre, during election, and post-election. So we actually don't look at, if you ask me of result, I don't even speak about anything result because I don't even care about anything result. What I care about is the process that leads to the result. So now this is part of a process. Now we're observing the process. Before then, there was a guideline on how all these things will be conducted by INEC. Now that's the benchmark we're using. So is this what is happening? Is it being followed through the process that they lay down rules of INEC and what have you? And most of the times what we do, we put up a comprehensive report, right? And, submit it to the commission as a report, be it on the physical printout as well as the soft copy of that report. And I have to admit, there are a lot of times that we get to have those things we recommend being addressed, and those things that we think it should be done this way being explained to us. Because before election, we've had a meeting with, I know INEC as a commission had a meeting with the media, the civil society organization that are observers and the international partners to just ascertain the level of, speak to us about based on the recommendations that we gave and then what is going to happen. So we are still watching. We still have people, I know now within the situation room, people are still putting together the reports that our reporters are sending. At the end of the day, we put them together and then analyze it and then project it, yes.
Okay, you know why I asked that question? TAP Africa, I know, concluded their reports, and also Alda NEPAD also, filed in their reports, and I know other CSOs will do the same, so that's why I asked that question. Yes. But Mr. Dazang, if you recall, before we reconnected back to the Coalition Center, you were telling us on the efforts, INEC has put in place, to raise, in terms of the area of sensitization. Now, when you were sharing that, thoughts were running through my head. This is an awareness creation, doing also. But is there avenue to educate the public that, okay, we're doing all of this. Go to this site, visit this place, watch this program. More of the awareness creation we're talking about.
Yeah, the commission does that. It encourages.
Mr. Modibo also mentioned the aspect of community radio, which, could be put into consideration.
Yes, it's a good idea. But what I'm also saying is that what the commission does is that it organizes enlightenment and voter education programs, which it does on radio stations, sometimes on FRCN because of its reach, and then they also pick the FM stations, particularly the popular ones. I know that the commission has used such FM stations like Ray Power, Court FM, We FM, Vision FM, Human Rights Radio, and so on, in Abuja alone, to reach out to stakeholders. And what I'm saying is that they have had programs that have run on these platforms, and at any given time, they go out of their way. They send their staff to go to radio stations that invite them, because a number of radio stations have voter education programs, and they invite INEC staff to come and explain the process. And they take advantage of such opportunities. And as these are taking place at the headquarters of INEC, similar activities are taking place at the level of the states, where there are FM stations, community radio stations, and the FRCN has an FM station in each of the 36 states, and the FCT. And thus in FCT we have Capital FM, which is the FM serving the FCT, for example. So all these are taking advantage of Cool FM, Hot FM, what have you. I think the last time I counted, there are not less than 20 FM stations.
Okay,
in the FCT, and I was counting that I had visited on my own not less than 19 of those stations. Not to talk of our staff that will also delegate to go out and explain the process to Nigerians. In fact, we on a number of occasions have even used amplified radio run by Yaga to show you the extent to which we...
I want to understand, Mr. Dazang, that INEC has the manpower, so to say, but you talked about the area of constraint. I know why I'm bringing this up, because this is very critical. The process will always repeat this process anytime there's an election. He brought the issue of the local government areas elections, which no much attention is given to that direction. But why I'm bringing this up again, it's the fact that when it comes to constraints, I know the commission has its own constraints. You talked about funding.
Yes.
So in terms of investment, which you said development partners, support the commission, majority of efforts we see, development partners coming. What areas, should be given more attention to? It's all about getting it right if the electoral process has to be seamless going forward for future purpose.
Well, you've lumped a lot of questions in one. Let me begin with the local government elections. I think there's a mistake people make because of the federalism, the federal system that we operate. The Constitution says INEC can only conduct federal elections, state elections, state House of Assembly elections, House of Representatives elections, Senate, presidency, governorship, and so on, and then area council elections in Abuja.
Okay.
But the other local government elections are being conducted by state independent electoral commissions, CX, and they are independent of INEC.
Okay.
Of course, the INEC and the CX collaborate. The CX use the same voter register compiled by INEC, for example, and there is a forum of state independent electoral commissions called FOSIECOM, and they have a memorandum of understanding with INEC. On a number of occasions, they share experiences. They sit down together, they exchange ideas, and then they invite each other to observe the conduct of each other's elections. For example, if Nasarawa State Electoral Commission is conducting an election, it might invite INEC to observe the conduct. By the same token, when INEC is conducting an election, it also invites the state independent electoral commissions to observe the conduct. The idea is for us to learn and then, to improve our processes. So that is the level at which local government elections are conducted. INEC only conducts in the FCT, the area council elections, and they are normally held after every 3 years. But sometimes, I think after a period of 10 years or so, or 20 years, they coincide. For example, the first election in which federal elections and area council elections took place was in 1999. Then it coincided with federal elections in 2019. So it will take another cycle for it to coincide, but otherwise, the tenure for area council elections is 3 years, not 4 years. So that is that.
Okay.
Then I think there was something...
The development partners aspect in terms of, interventions.
Yes, their
to help
interventions
the
are largely in the area of technical support, in the area of training, in the area of...
what about technology?
Enhancing that one is a sovereign excuse me, it's a sovereign commitment or investment by the country. There are certain things that to protect your sovereignty and your independence as a country, you don't allow another country to provide or to invest in that area.
Okay.
So like the payment of ad hoc staff, like the investment in the beavers, in IRF, that one is the statutory responsibility of INEC and Nigeria. But they can come in and train our staff to improve their capacity in terms of delivery. For example, he was talking about training people to speak for an organization. I have had the privilege of being taught as a spokesperson for example, of an organization. The U.S. Embassy invited a former staff of the CNN, for example, to come and teach us how to address press conferences. How do you address a press conference, for example? And then we have had occasions where the development partners bring in experts to teach us how to respond within the context of crisis communication, because INEC, carries its activities in a crisis mode. At all times, INEC is in the eye of the storm. So how do you react? How do you function within the context of such a storm? So, for example, I have been privileged to go through not less than 40 of such capacity building workshops. And that is why I'm a stakeholder. Well,
Mr. Dazang, you like the stakeholder I call
Let me
you.
get more serious.
Okay.
What I mean is that, so the development partners confer those skills on you. And you also cascade, you train your other staff, you make sure that you don't, you extend that knowledge, that skill to your other staff who may not have been privileged to attend. And then these are areas that generally the development partners come in terms of training, in terms of enhancing capacity, in terms of bringing ideas that enhance the process, and so on and so forth. But they don't invest in terms of buying you like a television set, or no, they don't invest in that area. But their interventions are very, very crucial. Because assuming INEC was to pay for all that, you can imagine how much INEC budget will be.
Because it still boils down to funding. Mr. Modibo, you were sharing your thoughts on the comparison with Kenya elections and how they've advanced, even involving diaspora, encouraging diaspora voting. Now you've understood from what Mr. Dazang has shared that it has to do, there's a limit, but the majority of the work or investment falls back to the federal government and the commission. Now, even when organizations like yours are making recommendations, funds must be involved if we must be a par with other international best practices. But what did Kenya do differently in terms of, managing resources available?
So I think INEC has been getting quite
enough funds.
I will not say enough because
Okay.
I'm not within the system.
Okay.
But I would say INEC has been getting quite some money. If you look at
Quite some money and enough funds. I'm trying to understand the difference.
So I can't say enough or it's not enough because
Okay.
I am not within the system.
Just adequate.
Yes.
Okay.
So, you could see that there have been resources flow. In 2023, for the general election, during the budget, if you look at the amount the INEC has, I think INEC needs to stay for 4 years before they conduct election. And then they have been, if I'm not mistaken, they are still on the concurrent list that whether or not whatever happens, they still get the money.
Exactly.
But the reality is they advance. A lot of things changes. A lot of things come into play, right? Do they have the political will for them to do those things that we want them to do.
In the area of utilizing the funds appropriately?
Fantastic, thank you very much. You know,
I'm
these
asking, I'm not saying it.
So these are things that we will question. You know, the fact that...
Are you questioning that?
I mean, definitely everybody is questioning the fact that, okay, how are those funds that are being budgeted for INEC, how are they being utilized? You know, it's a question that everybody will ask because, I mean, they are quite some amount, man. They're quite huge amount that INEC is receiving. That's one. The other thing is it has to do with how effective and how efficient these resources are being utilized. Put it to anybody, elections are expensive anywhere.
And that's
right?
why we don't want to see, you know, re-election happen.
Thank you,
and
but
all of
the
that.
reality is our own is very, very expensive. Because why did I say that? Quite a number of time we've seen our election being shifted based on logistical issue. You know, I know there was a time because of frustration, because of what I have put in place with, INEC gave us, I think, 7,000 observers. We've deployed, have people move around, have a lot of resources move, and then the election was shifted. I can tell you, I said it on a live television that can INEC maybe sublet that issue of logistics to a logistics company for them to handle it while they handle elections. So sometimes, you know, it's a question that a lot of people ask, you know, what is the money being utilized? Like, how do we utilize those resources, you know?
You know, Mr. Dazang, just before you come in, you said something about certain critical areas that are sacrosanct for the commission to handle. Does that involve the logistics aspect he's talking about, leasing to maybe, you know, a partner?
Well,
and just to pass an information, sorry, Mr. Dazang, we'll connect back to the Coalition Center. We're trying to get all the technical issues sorted out. So don't worry, we're not leaving that out. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I think it's important that some of these issues are addressed. Before the conduct of the election, when 305 billion naira was appropriated for INEC, there were hues and cries, particularly by the media and civil society. The Guardian newspaper, Daily Trust, and CISLAC. You know, CISLAC issued a statement, Guardian did an editorial, Daily Trust did an editorial saying the amount was humongous. I recall that I responded to those hues and cries. What people need to understand about INEC as an election management body is that everything it does, from procurement to what we are seeing, is in the open. There is nothing hidden about what INEC does. And before the conduct of any election, before an election cycle is begun, a strategic plan is articulated. And then an election project plan is also articulated. In that election project plan, all the things that are to be done, all the costs that are to be borne, the prices of all the things that are to be bought, they are documented in this plan. And it is based on this that the budget for INEC is approved and appropriated by the National Assembly. The National Assembly does oversight on this budget, and they go through the budget with a fine-tooth comb. And don't forget that when these budgets are done, they are done based on the prevailing prices at that moment. They are not done based on projections or conjectures that so thing will change, dollar will change by so time. And technically, if you look at the time that 305 billion was appropriated for INEC, and the time that it got the money since it is on the first line charge of the Revenue Mobilization Allocation Fund, just like the judiciary. Certain things would have changed to even make nonsense of the budget that it did in terms of inflation. But people also forget, and I said this yesterday or somewhere, that you are dealing with about 1,700 and so polling units across the country. And in each polling unit, you are going to have 4 staff, presiding officers and assistant presiding officers in each polling unit. Multiply that by the total number of polling units. You are going to pay them allowances for their feeding, for their transportation. And if you put together all the electoral staff that conduct election in the whole of West Africa, they are not up to the staff that INEC deploys in the conduct of elections. We are talking about more than 1 million staff that INEC is deploying, including regular and ad hoc staff.
And you want to pay them well so they don't compromise.
If you don't pay them, the election cannot take place. Yeah. You have to pay the security agencies that are securing the environment for the conduct of the election.
So that's the responsibility of INEC?
Well, I'm coming to that now. You say
no,
you
I'm
want to...
I'm asking a question.
I want to tell you how these things pan out.
Okay, go ahead.
You have to procure all the sensitive materials. You have to print them. The ballot papers, the result sheets. And our result sheets and our ballot papers are printed with security features at the level of money, currency, this naira. In fact, the security features that are embedded in, including watermarks, in these result sheets are not even embedded in naira. And that is money. Until 2023, these result sheets and ballot papers were printed abroad. So you are denominating the cost of printing in dollars. Now, in addition to that, you are going to hire vehicles for logistics that will transport the staff and the security agencies from the registration area centers and the super racks, the cluster of racks, to the polling units and back. You do the logistics, you take them, and then you reverse the logistics, you take them back. All these are monies running into billions. So when you add them together, that is how you get this much money. And then you must also provide for contingency of at least 5%, which is, if you are recruiting 1.5 million staff, you must add additional 5% in case of those that may not turn up, in case of those that may fall ill. And other emergencies can arise, like what has happened now. This election should have been concluded before now, where they are still there. The staff who are conducting the election, they are going to sleep outside. They have to sleep in the hotel. You have to run diesel at the collection center. You just announced to us that it was raining. And when it rains, the discos take the electricity out. You have to run gen. You have to pay for, in addition to the vehicles, you have to pay for the boats that took people to Brass and Southern Ijo and all the other local governments that, you know, are on the Atlantic. Even in Kogi, about 4 or 5 local governments are riverine. You have to transport staff using boats and back. These are costs. And you are talking about voter education. I have not added voter education. No. I have not added the cost of beavers. I have not added the cost of IRF. So I would have just kept quiet, but I think sometimes you need to explain to Nigerians so that they understand where we are coming from and where we are going. And, you know, he mentioned diaspora voting. It is something worth doing. Other smaller countries are doing it. But whatever INEC does, it does based on law. You do not embark on a project that has not been provided for by law, and that also has not been budgeted, and that also has not been planned for. Now, before the Japan syndrome, before now, if you went to Cameroon, thank God you are from Mubi. That's why I asked you one question. You are from Mubi. And across the border from Tongo to Mubi, how many kilometers is it to enter Cameroon? And how many Nigerians are in Cameroon? There are not less than 5 million Nigerians domiciled in Cameroon. There are not less than 8 million Nigerians, in fact, more than that in the aftermath of Boko Haram, resident in Sudan. At a point, President Olusegun Obasanjo taunted the president of Sudan that if I was to contest election here, I would defeat you, because most of the citizens of this country are Nigerians. You are not talking about the United Kingdom, where more than 2 million Nigerians are staying there legally and another 1.5 million staying there illegally. You are not talking about Canada. You are not talking about the United States, where more than 125 medical doctors, top notch, are Nigerians. And we saw them during the COVID. More than about 5 experts on COVID were Nigerians.
Okay, Mr. Dazang, you're bringing out a lot of issues, that is supposed to be looked into, but information reaching us says that Yenagoa Center is ready.
Please look at it again. It is planned. It is planned. We are transferring the total school for each political party. We are transferring the total school accrued for each political party in this resolution. Thank you.
That man
Okay, we seem to have lost audio there. Final collation of the result is happening. Did we have... Okay, it's still not back. All right. Before, when we crossed over to the collation center there in Yanagua, our second guest talking about Mr. Mukhtar Modibo, head of data collection, Uzabe Election Observation Mission, had to leave us, unfortunately. So I'm left with Mr. Nick Dazang, as a stakeholder here in NTA and also a stakeholder with INEC. Okay, Mr. Dazang, you were sharing your thoughts on the diaspora voting, which you said you were given a comparison on the data of Nigerians in some of these neighboring countries. So please go ahead before we're able to fix that.
What I was saying is that smaller countries have done diaspora voting, and we have even a more compelling reason to do diaspora voting.
Yeah.
But there are technicalities, there are complications which Nigerians need to appreciate. I've been following the concerted efforts of Nigerians in diaspora, canvassing for diaspora voting in Nigeria. And you need, for example, to be allowed by law to do diaspora voting. And then you now also need to do an assessment as a country as to how you are going to do the diaspora voting. Are you going to begin with diasporans in West Africa? Is it in Africa? Is it in Africa and Europe? Or is it in Africa, Europe, and the United States? How are you going to get the funding for the diaspora voting? Those that are going to conduct the diaspora voting abroad, how are you going to pay them? Is it in Naira? Is it in dollars? How do you train them? So these are challenges, logistics challenges that will have also to be addressed. And by the time that law comes into place, I'm certain that INEC may start with a kind of pilot, a test run involving maybe a few countries, maybe in the sub-region. And then it can now extend beyond the sub-region as it becomes expert on the little that it is able to, so that it doesn't bite more than it can chew.
Unfortunately, Mr. Modibo is not here to share with us the experience he garnered, from observing elections in other countries and how they've been able to succeed, even here in Africa. Yes. What about the aspect of deploying technology? Maybe the aspect where INEC will have to spend so much resources will be for the accreditation of those Nigerians who are in diaspora. But for the voting process, technology can be deployed. You don't have to do it the manual way.
Yes, but I was saying that you have to agree on what type of technology and where will people vote, because the law says you must vote at a polling unit close to where you reside. That's why I was saying that the law has to be changed to provide for somebody also to vote outside the country. For now, there is no such law. What the law says is you must register close to where you reside. And the polling unit is also put in that place so that it is very convenient for you to come and vote. So if you want to do diaspora voting, it means you have to change the law to say that diaspora voting can take place and identify the place. Is it at the embassy in that country or at the embassy plus the consulates? So you have to identify all that. The law has to allow it, and then the commission now will have to look at the modalities, the strategies, and then articulate a guideline and a manual, that will see to the implementation or the translation of that law on the ground. Just like you have the Electoral Act, you have the Constitution. But at the end of the day, when you are training staff to conduct elections, you use the guidelines and regulations plus the manual, because it is the how-to book, the handbook that you need to follow to actualize what the law says. So these have to be put in place before we can have diaspora voting. It's a good thing. others are doing it. But even in Africa, for example, it is even in the countries you mentioned, like Kenya, diaspora voting is limited to countries contiguous to Kenya. So because resources are involved, you know, and you have to pay people to supervise the conduct. And like I said, you also have to agree how much are you going to pay them? Is it in the currency of that country, or is it going to be dollarized, denominated in dollars? And what are the implications for our budget? What are also the implications for ad hoc staff domestically who are doing the work? So all this nitty-gritty of the diaspora voting has to be addressed before you can now begin to say you want to implement, even if the law has been put in place.
Okay, while that is being put into consideration, just a quick information, we're still trying to get the audio fixed there at the collation center. As soon as we're able to do that, we'll just reconnect so we can hear what's happening. But the collation is already ongoing of the final results, so we get to know who the winner is and who would top, who will be the man or leading as governor for the next 4 years. While that has been collated, let's continue from here. Mr. Dazang, you've raised salient points, but let's push the diaspora aside. It's important, and we hope that that is also put into consideration, but let's look at our domestic aspect of it. Transparency, accountability. Even as this collation of results is happening now, there are a lot of doubts in people's hearts if what has been collated, is the real and actual result. Okay, calculation, that is happening there, the whole final calculation of who emerges. Why am I mixing it up? The collation, calculation, okay. The calculation, the final. The tabulation. Yeah, I don't really like maths, so to say. Okay. But you can't run away from maths. And back to what I was asking on transparency and accountability, raising that doubt from our minds, because after this election is over, this is the last we're waiting for, who the winner will emerge for Bayelsa. There will be a lot of concerns. People will come out to say what is on their minds. Those that want to proceed for litigation process will do that. But rebuilding that trust again is very important. You've hammered on that. But after a process like this, going forward, as a nation, as a people, this is a lesson for INEC, for political parties, for the candidates who contested for this election. There's a whole lot, that would change the narrative going forward for us as a people.
Yes. Talking about accountability and transparency, you could see from the returns that were made in Kogi and Imo yesterday, and now before the returning officer began the process of tabulating the figures that were presented at the collation center, he unsealed the results sheet in which he will make the tabulation and make the return.
For transparency.
And showed everybody.
Yes.
So the idea is to disabuse the minds of people that this thing had not been filled in advance or in lieu of this particular process. And the idea also is to continue.
Okay, Mr. Dazang, that moment has finally come. So let's get audio from that end. I'm sure that announcement is going to be made now. Please, let's cross over quickly.
ladies and gentlemen, please, we want to read out the votes, total votes obtained by various political parties that participated in this governorship election in Bayelsa State. Please be attentive. Party A have a total of 17 votes. Party AA, 11 votes. Party AA, oh, all right, sorry. The total number of registered voters stand as 1,056,862. 1,056,862. Number of accredited voters stand at 372,000. Number of accredited voters, 372,000. Now, votes obtained by various political parties. Party AA, 17 votes. Sorry, Party A, sorry. Party A, 17 votes. Party AA, 11 votes. Party ADC, 292 votes. Party ADC, 292 votes. Party ADP, 322 votes. Party ADP, 322 votes. Party APC, 110,108 votes. Party APC, 110,108 votes. Party APGA, ABGA, 70 votes. Party ABGA, 70 votes. Party APM, 26 votes. Party APM, 26 votes. Party AP, 14 votes. Party APP, 14 votes. Party BP, 26 votes. Party BP, 26 votes. LP, 905 votes. LP, 905 votes. Party NNPP, 17 votes. Party NNPP, 17 votes. Party NRM, 415 votes. Party NRM, 415 votes. Party PDP, 175,196 votes. Party PDP, 175,196 votes. Party PRP, 69 votes. PRP, 69 votes. Party SDP, 45 votes. SDP, 45 votes. Party ZLP, 21 votes. Party ZLP, 21 votes. Total valid votes cast. We have 287,554 votes. 287,554 votes. Rejected votes, 3,658. 3,658. Total vote cast, 291,212 votes. 291,212 votes. Thank you very much. The party agents can come forward to sign, please. Question after reading the result? Gentlemen, this result does not provide such account, please. We are reading from the result sheet, please, sir. Please. We have the records of all those things you are talking about, but it cannot appear on this result sheet. Please. Thank you. Please, the party agents can come forward and sign the result sheet, please. Thank you. You have it here, please.
Okay, while that tabulation is ongoing, I'm sure any moment from now, as soon as all the party agents, pen down their signature, attesting to the fact that they're concerned of what has been, collated and calculated, at the end of the day, we'll get a winner. Very shortly, we're having flickers on our signal there. That's why we had to come back to the studio. Mr. Dazang, this is the part I don't like. I don't want to put myself in the politician's shoes, because even though you've been monitoring the results and you're already following developments and know the outcome of if I will emerge winner or not, there's still that anxiety in place.
Yes.
Any moment from now, a winner will be announced.
Yes, there's anxiety in place, but given the process, the way the process has been structured, if you have agents at the polling unit level, at the collation centers, and the final collation, which in this case the state collation center, it should be very clear to you that you have either won or lost, depending on where you stand.
Yes.
Just like I had said earlier on that even as far back as 2015, when we conducted the presidential election, the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, before INEC officially declared the results and returned a winner, he, based on the figures, harvested from the field, he knew, and the situation room of his political party, he knew in advance that he had lost, which was why he now promptly called former President Muhammadu Buhari to congratulate him.
Okay, Mr. Dazang, they want to make that announcement. Let's go now. Let's cross back for the big announcement.
Please. Yes, sign.
You sign.
Maybe we should take this one, sir. That would be more clear. The second.
First and second copy, INEC. And the police.
First and second copies.
INEC. And then the police.
The police in the third copy. Since we are even going to print, one should I? So first and second INEC, the third copy is for police.
I think please let me announce this. Don't
wait now.
Wait, sir. It will be given to you. Please let me announce this. Please, let's have one house. The distinguished party agents, press, we are going ahead to announce or to declare the winner of this election. Thank you very much. I, Professor Farouk Adamukuta, hereby certify that I am the returning officer for the 2023 Bayelsa State Governorship election, held on 11th day of November 2023. The election was contested. The candidate received the following votes. Idikio Wamed Jones of Party A has 17 votes. Bufumo of Akpobi Alex of Party AA has 11 votes. Kalango Stanley Davis of ADC has 292 votes. Ogwara Nangi Moyo of ADP has 322 votes. Silva Timipre Malin of APC has 110,108 votes. Subiri Bode Joseph of Abga has 70 votes. Oshari Kenny Saturday of APM has 26 votes. Ogege Kemilaefa Messi of APP has 14 votes. Ben Victor Magodo of BP has 26 votes. Eradiri Udemubafa of LP has 905 votes. Azebi Bestman Ayabeke of NNPP has 17 votes. Mika Akins of NRM has 415 votes. Diri Doye of PDP has 175,196 votes. Ozato Eripadi of PRP has 69 votes. Osuluku Binaefa of SDP has 45 votes. Simeon Imotemi Kapioru of ZLP has 21 votes. That Diri Doye of PDP, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected. Signed by Farouk Adamukuta, the returning officer. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. The first two people. Then the third copy is for you.
After
right, we've just had the state returning officer declared the sitting governor, Diri, as the governor re-elected. If you recall, in 2019, when the court annulled the election of David Leon, he contested with of the APC, he became the governor then, and now he's been re-elected. He polled 175,196 votes. The APC just coming behind with 110,108 votes, and the candidate there for the APC, of course, is Timipre Silva, followed by the LP 905 votes and the NRM 415 votes. There you have it. The big announcement has been made. We have a winner now for Bayelsa State, the person of the incumbent governor. But we want to cross back to the Collation Center. We need to know what's happening at this time that the result, has finally been announced. Let's cross over again, please. Our correspondent there, Kingsley Amadiri, is standing by to give us final updates. Kingsley, please, I know it's a whole rowdy situation around you. If you can hear me, okay, we're trying to get Kingsley to connect with us. And you saw clips from the government house there in Bayelsa, the jubilation happening when there's victory, Mr. Dazang. Of course, that's what you expect. Following this big announcement, the wait is finally over and Kingsley is set for us. So let's connect with Kingsley there at the INEC Collection Center.
8 local government areas of the state have been officially announced by the state returning officer, Professor Farouk Kuta, with the candidate of the People's Democratic Party and the incumbent governor of Bayelsa State, Doye Diri, returned elected with 175,196 votes. It was closely followed by the APC candidate in that election, who scored 110,108 votes. This brings to the end the exercise, which had over 290,000 Bayelsans making this decision. This is the situation at the State Collation Center here in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa State capital. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kingsley Amadiri, for the good work you have done, feeding us in with updates as they unfold, and well done with the rest of the crew there. I'm sure after the long wait, you all can catch some rest at this time. All right, our correspondent there from the Collation Center there in Yenagoa, Mr. Dazang, we're rounding off. The wait is over. Your patience too should be commended. We have a winner, and the 2023 off-cycle election, we can say, has finally come and gone. Let's just hear your final remarks very briefly, because we have to round off.
What I can say is that for the 3 elections, we have seen remarkable improvement in the processes put in place by INEC. We have seen superlative performance by the Beavers and the IRF, and we have seen improvement in terms of logistics. We have seen improvement in terms of security deployment, and of course there were some challenges here and there regarding the elections. Even where there was vote buying, the anti-corruption agencies were up to the task. They made a number of arrests, unlike in the past. So they were very vigilant, and going forward we expect to see an improvement in the conduct of the next set of off-cycle governorship elections next year in Edo and Ondo.
All right, and indeed, as we look forward to that, we'd like to appreciate you, Mr. Nick Dazang. He's the former Director of Voter Education and Publicity for INEC. Thank you. We can't thank you enough for your patience, your contributions, making this happen for NTA. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, and there you have it, the 2023 off-cycle elections for Imo, Kogi and Bayelsa has finally come and gone. And for Imo, Hope Uzodinma has emerged winner. For Kogi, Usman Ahmad Ododo has emerged winner of the APC also. And for Bayelsa, Duye Diri of the PDP has just been announced as the winner of the election. It's been a big time, spending it with you this past few days. And thank you so much for choosing the Nigerian Television Authority to catch all the updates as the elections are concerned. We want to, sincerely appreciate your time. And as we look forward for another off-cycle election come next year, Ondo and Edo, please stay tuned to the network service, Africa's largest, biggest network. I'm Ruth Aguele. Please have a beautiful day ahead.